Good evening, brothers, sisters, and gender norm resistors. It's that time of the week again to get back into the ship and see what the Pirates of the Geek Vortex has for us all. With me, your host, Ollamh, and the rest of the crew, of course. Hello. Let's just go ahead and jump right on in and bring up the voice chat and see what everybody's doing. Hello.
Hello.
I was gonna say, I see you sitting there. It's always a 50-50 chance as to whether your mic's working or not, and it is. So how's everybody's week been?
It's been a week.
Shit-tastic.
Sounds pretty normal then.
So I got sick on like the 13th, missed 10 days of work, thought that work was going to cover me. Went back to work on the 25th, contacted the department that's supposed to resolve those kinds of issues. I got a nice big whopping check for $75 fucking dollars.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
But when I win the Powerball, I tell them all to go fuck off. Well, now we know where it's going to be.
Yeah. most corporations are just absolutely shitty as far as covering any kind of sickness or whatever.
So, and the other thing is, it's not just me. There's another guy that actually went out the day before me, and yeah, they're fucking him around too.
Oh, jeez.
So you'd think that after you tested for COVID, the smart thing would be to do, at least in most circumstances, to throw the damn test away. Apparently not, because they kept asking me, do I have the test? Where the fuck would I keep it?
Yeah.
It's like do you keep used toilet paper after you wiped your ass?
So basically they're like, oh, well, if you can't prove to us that you had it, then yeah.
Well, so I contacted my doctor. They filled out the paperwork for the time. Now they've sent me more fucking paperwork. And so the problem is, my doctor's office is 6 hours away because I haven't found a new doctor since I moved, because, finding a doctor is not easy, especially when I went from a town of 8,000 people to 1,000 people.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to have to bother them again about this new fucking rash of paperwork bullshit. I didn't want to do that. But fuck me.
Yeah, makes sense.
Kind of hoping Gamers would be here so I could make fun of him for being Canadian. So I could listen to how great socialized healthcare is.
Yeah, Shelby's saying she, her biological dad's kind of going through the same thing, going through cancer treatments, multiple surgeries, and yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so in regards to that, Shelby, I told a few people, haven't been tested yet, but I'm pretty sure I have cancer also.
Yeah,
So,
that's yeah.
So casual.
So that's why I'm an angry bastard.
Really? I thought that was just your charm.
I was gonna say, you've been an angry bastard pretty much since I've known you.
Yeah, you're right. Both of you are right. I have a good reason to be an angry bastard.
Yes, you have a reason to be.
Retroactively, I suppose.
The previous reason for being an angry bastard is I'm 1/4 Kraut. So we're just a pissed off people altogether.
I'm almost pure German. I'm just depressed. I ain't fucking angry all the time.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like
then you're Germaning wrong. You're Germaning completely wrong.
Technically, I'm proto-German because I'm actually Prussian, so that's why I'm depressed.
So I'm actually, my family's actually also Prussian. I can trace my lineage back to.
See, that's why you should be depressed, because we're looking at our empire and going, "What the fuck happened?"
I don't care. I mean, after we signed up with that little mustache wearing fucker, I whatever.
Okay, so the general theme that I wanted to start off with is basically kind of some of the new stuff that's come out since last weekend, since the San Diego Comic-Con. Some of the the stuff that we're most looking forward to that's been coming out. Because a lot of it's coming pretty damn quick. Because it's like we're gonna have Andor by the end of next month. We've got She-Hulk coming up.
Oh god, that trailer pissed me off.
I don't know. I liked that trailer. I think it looked.
I don't even know what pissed me off about it. It's just I had this weird sense of like something's not gonna be right.
Well, I think they're kind of. I think what they're doing with it is kind of an interesting idea and a question that I've had as far as the MCU, and that is, it's like, okay, you have all these supervillains. They've all been arrested, but because they're arrested and they're being held in an American prison, basically, they have to have some sort of trial in a court of law, and they all have to be able to have their own representation. So it's like, who does that? And I think that's kind of what they're addressing.
We're gonna have She-Hulk be a defense lawyer for criminal scumbags.
Well, the interesting part is they're with them starting off with Emil Blonsky. That's a tough one to deal with, because he wasn't really a criminal. Emil Blonsky was a military soldier that was given the Hulk treatment and then set loose. So it's like, he wasn't really the bad guy. He was definitely the antagonist of the piece, but he's not really a villain. It wasn't a question of, oh, I'm doing this to kill a bunch of people or to gain a bunch of questionable legality or anything like that. It was like, no, this guy's been rampaging around. We need to stop him. The only way to do that is for one of us to Hulk up. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, there is a reasonable defense for all of his stuff.
So as far as the Abomination goes, not super familiar with the character, other than from the comics side. I mean, I've seen the Hulk movies, but I'm pretty sure he's an evil bastard. I'm pretty sure. I understand that they didn't necessarily play him that way in the MCU, but I'm pretty sure he's a scumbag.
He's a mercenary. He was a soldier that was hulked up to be on an even playing field with the Hulk, and then he went off and became a mercenary on his own. So he even in the comic books, as I understand it, he still has a very his status as a villain or hero is very questionable. He's kind of neither. He's an asshole, no doubt about it. He is an asshole, but it's not.
I mean, that's most of the MCU.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think Star-Lord's an asshole. I like Star-Lord.
He's a total asshole. That's his entire personality.
He's a goofball. He's a full size. He's an adult
also
child.
Your mama's boy with masculinity issues.
Well, I mean, okay. I would say that yes, he is. I would say that yes, Star-Lord is technically an asshole, but he's kind of a lovable asshole. Yeah,
he doesn't do it out of spite. He's not doing so Deadpool's a dick because Deadpool thinks it's funny to be a dick.
Yeah.
And irritate everyone.
I didn't say that Star-Lord was an unlikable asshole. I just said he was an asshole.
Yeah, he's a very ineffective asshole.
Yeah.
Come on, Thor's an asshole.
I also find it interesting how much they're bringing they are bringing back some of the Edward Norton Hulk stuff. Like, they're bringing back not just Abomination, because they brought back Abomination in Shang-Chi, but they're bringing back Tim Roth as Emil Blonsky and going back and forth between Human and Abomination.
Look, as long as we don't get that stupid Banner's father shit from the Eric Bana Hulk.
No, I doubt they'd go that far. That would be, yeah.
I think we all kind of want to pretend that one never existed.
Yeah.
I like to pretend the Hulk just never existed. Because
Well, I mean, it was weird for me because I like the look of Bana's Hulk better, but Norton pulls off the skinny, ineffective Banner better.
Yeah.
And then Ruffalo's just kind of like there.
I just don't like the character of the Hulk. I think he's stupid. just like I don't I don't like Superman either. And that is because the Hulk is basically, well, power set is different. Hulk is Marvel's Superman.
He is.
And I don't. I'm not trying to argue because there's actually Marvel has a character called Sentry who has the exact same power set as Superman. But nobody knows about
Not
him.
to mention they have several other Superman XPs.
Well, actually, the Hulk has the same power set as the original Superman. He can leap 1/8 of a mile. It's going to take a howitzer shell or more to break his skin. He's got, his muscle mass, bone density, and everything is drastically increased. That's basically what Superman was back in the day.
Well, yeah, because he wasn't supposed to fly and have super speed. He was just the Superman.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering if they aren't hinting at something with the first look featurette that they released. They showed how Jessica Walters gets how She-Hulk gets her powers.
From a blood transfusion.
Not in the series. In the series, her and Banner were driving together, got into an accident, and both of them basically it looks like both of them got open wounds, and his blood spilled into her open wound, and that's how they're going with it.
That's dumb. Because as far as the paper comics was, Banner showed up as he was watching his cousin, prosecute, do her job.
Yeah.
Bad guy shot her. So he smuggled a gun in and shot her, something along those lines. The only person there that had a blood type that matched hers was Bruce. So blood transfusion, that's why when she hulks out, she's not, smash, I'm dumb.
Yeah, she doesn't go a full Hulk because she wasn't actually exposed to gamma radiation.
She just gets green and her boobs swell up awesomely.
But with the way they're doing it in the show, I have a feeling that by the end of the season, I get the feeling we're probably going to see the leader show up. Because it was in the Edward Norton that, that the guy that he was sending his blood to had stockpiled all this blood and wound up same type thing. Had a gash on his head. Some of Banner's blood seeped into his body, and that was the cause for the change. But they never actually showed the leader in that one. They just kind of hinted at it, and it's like, well, if they're showing that yes, that is a viable way for somebody to gain the Hulk type power set, that would they could say, hey, remember this back from there? I mean, we're already bringing back Tim Roth. We're showing that this could cause somebody to gain some sort of extra powers and stuff. I think they're bringing back the leader. Which would actually, I think that would be a really smart thing to do, because the Hulk really had, the biggest problem with the Hulk in the MCU is he hasn't had anybody that was his nemesis. He didn't have a nemesis since Edward Norton. He was just kind of the tag along as far as any of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And that's why
I want to see Marvel do is I want them to bring back John Byrne. I want them to embrace John Bernthal, the guy that played Daredevil. I want, bring those, because they did a great job. Charlie Cox, that's who his name is.
He's going to be in She-Hulk. He's in She-Hulk.
Oh, well, that's good. It might be that might be a reason alone for me to watch it.
Yeah, they showed that at the end of the trailer. He comes in decked out in the Daredevil costume.
Oh.
I just want him to bring back Bullseye.
I want him to bring back a comic book faithful Bullseye, not Colin Farrell with his fucking retarded scar on his head of a bullseye or whatever the fuck nonsense was.
Yeah, that character was just. I mean, well, let's face it. Let's be honest here. The Ben Affleck Daredevil movie was bad in so many different ways.
Proto comic book movies.
Yeah.
And at least it had Elektra to make it look good.
If I'm going to watch an old Marvel movie, I'll just watch the Blade movies.
Yeah. That was one thing that always pissed me off when everybody when Logan and Daredevil came out. They're like, "Oh, hey, look," or Deadpool rather. It was like, "Oh, hey, look, Deadpool, the first successful R-rated comic book movie." I'm like, did you guys completely erase Blade from your memory, or did you just not realize that was a comic book movie?
The first Blade movie came out, nobody realized Blade was a comic book movie. And then, after Deadpool came out, we had already been subjected to Blade 2 and Blade Trinity, and we were just kind of ignoring that Blade existed.
Fair enough.
Now, see, I like them. I love Blade Trinity because Ryan Reynolds is in it. Playing Hannibal King.
Yeah.
And he's the same. So why I love Ryan Reynolds is he's the Samuel L. Jackson of Canadian actors. What I mean by that is Samuel L. Jackson plays one character. Doesn't matter what he's dressed as, doesn't matter what his role is. He's angry black man.
Yeah.
That's what he is, no matter what. He's angry black man.
Most apparent in Black Snake Moan.
And Ryan Reynolds is smart-ass, kind of slimy white guy.
Yeah. He really kind of...
ultra. Yeah. He's ultra frat boy. I think the only movie that I've seen him in where he wasn't super frat boy or whatever you want to call him was the Amityville Horror remake.
No, he was super frat boy in that too.
Oh, I don't remember it well enough because it.
Well, that's just what happens when you go to frat boy. You just grab an axe and start trying to murder your family.
I have an axe in the living room.
No. None of that now.
It was here when I moved in. There's like an axe, 2 machetes. I'm like, all right, I feel at home already.
But yeah, see, okay, Shelby, yeah, I can see that. Green Lantern was not a great movie, but
Green Lantern gave us one good thing, and one good thing only, and that was they finally pointed out that you thought I wouldn't know who you were because I couldn't see your cheekbones.
Yes. The whole domino mask doesn't fucking work.
I've seen you naked, you dumbass.
I've seen you naked, and that suit hides nothing.
So, the thing I liked most about Green Lantern is when it was over. But I loved that in the Deadpool scenes, it's like, I don't want a green suit and all that kind of shit. He's making fun of his own, because he knew the movie was bad, but I'm sure he made bank on it, so that's why he did it.
Yeah.
So, but I think the problem was with the Green Lantern movie was Ryan Reynolds is not Hal Jordan.
No.
He's just not.
Well,
Because
also with the era they put it in, if you're going to make it in that specific time frame, like between those two Marvel movies that came out before it, don't use Hal. Go with another Lantern. That's
what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly. So make it John Stewart. I think that's his name.
Yeah,
it's John something.
It's John Stewart.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was thinking of him, and then I was thinking of comedian.
Yeah, same
so
thing.
I was kind of confused for a second. I was like, no, wait, not that guy.
Yeah, no.
But make it John Stewart. Make it any of the other lanterns. There were so many lanterns You know, the lantern I would have loved to have seen, but that would have never happened. Guy Gardner.
Well,
That
yeah,
was my
you could have
absolute
used
favorite
Guy,
lantern.
but with the Marvel movies that came out before and after it, I would have said Kyle.
Oh yeah, Kyle would have been great. Kyle would have been great. Yes.
So yeah, I would have loved to see them like go old school with like the old one from like what was it, the 60 era, the Justice Society.
The yellow.
The one that was there with Jay Garrick.
No, because he would have looked ridiculous. I mean, I realized that the CGI suit looked stupid, but the one you're talking about wore like a red puffy pirate shirt and green tights, and
Yeah.
he had a big dopey looking like lantern on his chest, and he carried the lantern, the recharge lantern, around with him as well.
But come on, let's just
Alan
talk about
Scott.
Yes,
That's who it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's not even talk about the fact that they destroyed the two biggest weaknesses that any lantern could have because they knew if they put those in a movie, it would have been ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that I honestly believe that probably would have set the DCEU apart from Marvel. Would have been going with the Silver Age heroes. Go with Jay Garrick instead of Barry Allen.
Well, I would love to see DC do a bunch of their older, their World War II era stuff like Justice Society of America.
Yeah.
Because you saw how well Wonder Woman did when it was set in World War I. So you put, for example, a guy in a black wrestling mask with a yellow shirt, kind of a cream-colored shorts. He's the Atom. Watch him beat Nazis up. People would love that shit.
Yeah. Okay. Just real quick, Gamers Grotto, no problem. You haven't slept for 48 hours. I completely understand that. That's yeah. I've had those days. Those are not fun. And as far as the Justice Society, I think that may be, I think they may be touching on that with Black Adam. Because in the trailer for Black Adam, they do show what looks like they do show what looks like the Atom.
Okay.
They also have Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. So they're bringing
voice-wise will work. Voice-wise he'd work.
Well, I mean, as far as doing the superhero stuff, he's gonna have the helmet on where you can't see anything of his face. So it's like, he's completely covered. They could do pretty much. They could have a
Isn't he in his 70s by now? Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. So, yeah. Well, and Dr. Fate, wasn't Dr. Fate, because not a huge fan of the character, wasn't he one of the characters that was kind of like Firestorm where it was two people also?
Yeah, he was kind of
body and a mind.
Yeah, he's there. The helmet has a certain possession. It kind of houses this persona that he kind of basically works with. So yeah, it's very very similar. But yeah, they're definitely kind of going towards the old school stuff that it's like is more, it seems to be more towards the Justice Society. Which if they're smart, like I said, if they're smart, they'll go that way.
We need to make a movie with Speedball.
And then New Warriors?
Well, yeah, I want to see a movie where he has to turn independence. That'd be hilarious. Because I want to see how edgy they want to pull that one off before it gets ridiculous.
Yeah, the New Warriors has always been kind of a joke group. Matter of fact, they're what actually started the Marvel Civil War. If you read the comics, they started it.
Yeah, I mean, come on though. Like, he's one of those characters that he was purposely written to be over the top when he got dark and brooding. So, how far can you push that before it gets way too ridiculous?
Oh, and the other thing is, he's from like Kentucky. At least he was originally supposed to be. So, has anyone actually seen the New Mutants movie?
Nope.
No.
It actually was good. I really enjoyed it, but it really wasn't like a superhero movie. I mean, it was more.
Wait, movie?
And
or
I don't know why they. Oh, it was a movie.
movie or series? Because I know they did a series.
Oh, there was a standalone movie. It come out like early 2021.
Okay, I think
But
that was that was the point where I'm like, yeah.
But what they did it as, they didn't do it as a superhero flick. All the kids still had their powers, but it was more of a slasher film.
Okay.
So it was like these kids are trapped in this institution by this I want to say there's a so one of the characters is Annie something, and she's the Native American girl, like Proud Star, Moon Star, some shit like that. I don't remember. And so her entire family burns to death because the spirit bear, which is like this big gigantic demon bear, wiped out her family. So she now has mental problems. It had the girl from Game of Thrones, Maisie. Who I'm talking about?
I don't know Game of Thrones. So.
Okay,
Maisie Williams, Arya Stark.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So she was in it. She played the New Mutant character Wolvesbane. So basically, she was kind of a were creature. She basically looked like the Second Life version of a Neko.
Okay.
She got like a few. Yeah, it was She didn't look like a werewolf or anything like that. I mean, she got like wolf eyes, and she got claws and a little bit of extra body hair, kind of. But she didn't look like I said. She looked like not even a furry, which is what the character should have looked like.
If you're gonna put somebody in a role as a were creature or something that obscures their face, fucking commit to it. Don't do this shit where like, hey, we cast a major Hollywood actor, so we got to keep their face no matter what.
Yeah.
See, that's one of the things that pisses me off about Chris Evans is half the time, okay, I can see when he's Steve Rogers. When you've got that Stars and Stripes on, put your fucking mask on, man. I hate that. That's one of the reasons why I like Ryan Reynolds so much, is because he wears the damn mask when he's supposed to. When it makes sense, he wears the mask.
Or even worse, Sylvester Stallone as Judge Dredd.
Be like, Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
why
Dredd is the ultimate faceless comic book character who hadn't shown his face at that point in 45 years? And there's like, oh no, we put Stallone in it, so we got to take the helmet off.
Yeah, he wears the helmet for a few minutes, and that's it.
That's why I love Carl Urban.
Well, Carl Urban is great just because he doesn't think he's that great of an actor.
Well, Carl Urban is great just because he's an amazing actor, and I've never seen him do a role where he sucked.
Priest.
I don't think I've seen it.
The only reason he sucks in Priest is because
They give him the villain slot, they make him the best character, and they use him for all of 2 minutes of the movie.
Oh, well, that's not his fault then. He didn't do a shitty job. He was given shit to work with.
Yeah, that's one of those fine points as far as I mean, I can excuse people for one or two bad roles because they're given crap.
the only reason I love that character is because I don't know shit about the Priest comic books. I don't even know about the Black Hat character.
but Carl plays him with such a fun-loving intensity that you just have to love him.
Oh, Shelley, I may have seen it. I don't know for sure.
As
Isn't there a trilogy?
Paul Bettany.
Yeah, okay, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I guess I don't remember Carl Urban in it.
Carl Urban was Black Hat. He was the villain.
I was gonna say you may have blocked that from your memory for just to save what sanity you have left.
Well, I mean, if he was only basically in the movie for 2 minutes, I may have missed him. I may have had to take a leak or something like that.
Well, no, like they constantly flash on him. I'm talking about when it comes to him actually doing something and not just vaguely threatening the hero's daughter. It's like a 2-minute scene between him and the priest. They don't even actually fight.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wait. So you have Paul Bettany and Carl Urban. They're both hamming this shit up. They've had epic fight scenes throughout this entire movie. We've seen them like pull off these amazing moves. They're on top of a speeding train in the middle of the goddamn desert, and you somehow made the scene boring with explosives strapped to somebody's chest. How?
Skill? Not a particularly useful skill, but it is a skill. There's a few directors and writers and stuff that have that unique skill set.
What do you need with that skill? Like, do you write a movie and you're like, oh shit, this is going to give people heart attacks in the theater. Let's give it to Oscar over here. Make him dumb it down.
I mean, there's... I'm sure there are people that are like, oh shit, we need something that's going to fail so that we're not taxed too much for the year.
I think that's the greatest thing about Preso. Like, it's a guilty pleasure for me because it's not a great movie, but it's a good movie. Reminds me of First Blade. But the best part of it is the commentary, because that was the first time I realized that Carl Urban was from New Zealand.
So to me, my favorite guilty pleasure, movie-wise, and I've seen it probably about 1,000 times, I shit you not, the original Red Dawn. I watched it every fucking time it come on HBO. I rented it relentlessly. I loved that movie so much.
Was it because of Jennifer Grey or Charlie Sheen?
No, it was because of C. Thomas Howell. I actually liked his character.
I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily classify that as a guilty pleasure. I mean, it is.
Well, a lot of people like Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but I'm saying, after my other guilty pleasure is the movie Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
That is a great movie. That is not a guilty pleasure. That's just
love
good.
That movie. It used to be that there was a buddy of mine and we would watch it religiously. So I, at one time, knew every one of Harley's lines. And so what we would do is while we were watching the movie, we would sit there and say the lines to one another.
No, a guilty pleasure, and thank God this is not one of mine, a guilty pleasure would be a movie like Barbed Wire.
Yeah. It's something that you say, no, it's not, it's something that, that you cannot defend it by saying, well, it's a good movie in any fashion.
Because people claim Repo's a guilty pleasure, but no, it's not, because the cinematography is amazing. The practical effects are spot on. It's Darren Lynn Bousman at his best. It's a good movie, it's just not for everybody.
Yeah, because the MacGuffin in the trunk.
Of what?
I don't know. That's why I said it's the MacGuffin in the trunk.
Space Troopers.
I'm trying to think of...
In Starship Troopers?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, is it Starship Troopers you're talking about, Shelby? Because, I mean, I could see that one being a guilty pleasure. It was...
Oh, I love that movie, too, because it's got Michael Ironsides in it. Service guarantees citizenship.
I still love that Paul Verhoeven was like, this is a great achievement, and the author of the book popped up and was like, how did you not only miss the point of the book, but somehow doubled down and made it even dumber?
Because it was poking fun at Nazi Germany, is what it was.
Well, the original book was poking fun at every type of jingoism and militarism, and he's like, the whole point was that the military is stupid.
Yeah.
And trying to be like, hey, I want to join the military just so that you could be, you know, do something with your life. It's fucking dumb. And then Paul Verhoeven did this. He's like, how did you did not just do a 180. You did a 180 and then head on.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not so, it's difficult to say that it's poking fun at or even criticizing something when it's like, no, they win. Nobody learned their lesson. Nobody opposes the fascist militaristic government. They're fully on board with and they're A-okay with it because, well, they won. It's like, that's not criticizing. That's not poking fun. That's just being like, these are the good guys.
Because in the movie, Rico's your standard action hero. He's good looking, he's a sports star, and then he gets a dose of reality, and it's like, oh, okay, so, you know, this is how it's going to go. And you eventually cheer for Rico. In the book, Rico was a racist piece of shit who was entitled, rich, and bought his way into everything.
Okay, so I know what my actual, so since both of the movies that I mentioned, you both think that those aren't guilty pleasures. How about Galaxy of Terror?
Is it a grindhouse?
So it is a movie that was originally done by James Cameron.
Yeah,
So
I remember. I just can't recall details right offhand.
So the reason, okay, so it had Sid, I fucking can't think of his name. Sid Egg?
The one who played Captain Spaulding?
Yes.
Yes, it had.
Yeah. So it had Sid Haig, it had Robert Englund in it, it had Joni from Happy Days, and there are like 3 or 4 other actually more established actors. Basically what it is they're on this, it's a sci-fi movie, and they get this transmission and they're being sent to go check on this transmission, like it's a beacon, like a rescue beacon
From an abandoned ship in the middle of space.
Yeah.
That suddenly
it's
nothing
on a planet. So they go to the planet and they end up kind of crashing the ship, and what happens then is each of the crew member is killed off because it's a horror movie. But the best scene was there's this gorgeous blonde with great big knockers. Okay? So she gets killed. Oh. Sorry, gamer, I didn't mean to block that. I clicked the wrong button. I apologize. I'll repost it. Sorry, man. I didn't do that on purpose. So she gets killed by a giant maggot. But she gets raped to death. Sid Haig's character is kind of like this mystic guy, and he uses these like crystal shurikens, and they're not supposed to break. So something causes one of them to break, and one of the blades, because they have like 3 blades, goes up into his arm, and it feeds all his way up in his arm. Joni, or Erin Morris, she gets killed because a bunch of tendrils wrap around her until her head explodes. But yeah, it's kind of a schlocky movie, but I love it. I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid.
I think the good definition of a guilty pleasure is a movie like Evil Bong.
Evil Bong?
Evil Bong.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
So do you know Toxic Avenger?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Trauma.
I was going to say, I'm like, that sounds, yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, that sounds like a trauma.
And the whole point is that it is a demonic bong that when you smoke it, draws you into itself, into an alternate dimension where you get your ultimate pleasure, and then you die horribly.
What the? There was a... There was a recent movie, probably out in the past couple of years.
Oh, we know. Wait, was Evil Bong Trauma or was that Full Moon?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
I'm looking it up.
I mean, it probably, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that if it wasn't actually made by Troma, it was like
Charles Band, so it was
produced
Full Moon.
by. Because that's the thing, Troma Studios didn't make all the movies that they are are popular with. They produce and distribute a shit ton.
This one was definitely Full Moon. Oh, and guess what? The whole point, because it's an evil bong, they have to find an expert, like in demons and who could help us. So who do we call in to fight against the demonic bong? It is exactly Tommy Chong.
Okay, so another kind of movie that's very similar to those kinds of things is it's PG Psycho Gorman.
Oh God, Psycho Gorman.
You've seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen all the reviews for it, and I don't know. That one's not
It's great.
totally
It's
a guilty
great.
pleasure.
It's but it's wouldn't be something, you know. It wouldn't. I wouldn't like be looking at a list of movies going, "Hey, let's watch this."
And yeah,
So,
I think Shelby said the nail on the head. Jupiter Ascending it would be a guilty pleasure movie. Not for me, because I fucking hate that movie.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's one of those. It was, you know, that's one of those that I've seen reviews of and stuff, and it's like, oh, really? That they okay, that's.
Look, if you have Mila Kunis and what is his name? I was just watching him earlier. Eddie Redmayne and God damn it, what is his name? Magic Mike. Channing Tatum, all in the same movie. You have talent, but then you make Channing Tatum a half dog. Make him want to hump Mila Kunis, who, by the way, is the queen of the universe, but also is trying to get hit on by Eddie Redmayne. But oh wait, she's not just the queen of the universe; she is the reincarnation of his mother, who he wanted to sleep with and ended up murdering.
I think I'll have to watch that. I want to watch. I want to watch Channing Tatum try to hump Mila Kunis.
That is a word salad that just. There's not much you can say about that. It's like, that's just okay.
Oh, did we mention that Eddie's entire character is not only queer coded, but he's femme coded, but he definitely wants to be the masculine king of the universe?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, shit. After your description of the movie, I mean, nothing would surprise me, really.
Also, getting Channing Tatum to talk like he's supposed to be this high-ranking, serious, no-nonsense military type, but then he's like, "You're special. It's because I don't know why, but I'm here to protect you for everything." I was like, "This does not work. Just go back to stripping."
Channing Tatum he would be great if he just would stick to action movies and maybe rom-com shit like that, because he doesn't have the acting chops to play a smart character.
Well, he's not a dramatic character, and he can't do comedy for the life of him. It comes off too forced.
Oh,
I can see that.
I mean, watch the entirety of 21 Jump Street. And when you make Jonah Hill look good, your comedy is poor.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
I tried to watch because I thought Jonah Hill was funny. I tried to watch the SNL episode with him on it, and I'm like, I kind of wish somebody just hit him with a car.
You know,
It just wasn't funny.
He kind of falls into what's kind of the typecasting of most people. Most people fall into like him. It's like, look, you're never going to be the star. You're going to be the overweight comedic relief. Even in a comedy, you're going to be the overweight comedic relief.
Channing is not really a star. He's best as a himbo. Keep him as a himbo.
Yeah, but it's one of those things.
He could do action roles. No, he
could,
he
but
could
nobody would buy it. Nobody, and people would be like, "Yeah, no, you're supposed to be the overweight. You're supposed to be the heavy set comedic relief. You're supposed to
No, I
be
said
the John Candy. You're supposed to be
No,
the John Belushi."
Yeah, no,
talking about
we're talking. I'm talking about Channing Tatum could be the
Oh,
action guy,
okay,
not
yes.
Jonah
Yeah.
Hill. Yeah,
Okay, I
Jonah,
was gonna say, I'm like,
and please never mention Jonah Hill and John Candy in the same breath ever again. John Candy was a fucking genius.
he
So,
was.
okay. Shelby, what movies jumped to mind when you say that I've introduced you to a lot? Because I really have, but with this particular topic, I want to know what comes to mind first.
Oh, that's
You should
asking a
just
load
get Shelby a headset.
Shelby has Discord. She's just very shy, and she doesn't like using it.
Say that's a look. Are you really sure you want to ask that question? You really sure you want to know?
Oh, there's one that I'm pretty sure I know exactly what she would point out. Her first three, because they're the family-friendly answers, would probably be Repo, Devil's Carnival, and Alleluia, which is Devil Carnival 2. And then there's Lex that I introduced her to, but the one she normally pulls out is Alice in Wonderland, a musical porno.
There's, that doesn't surprise me much.
It was the 70s. Look, she should be lucky that I lost my copy of Sylvester Stallone's very first movie.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that's. I mean, now I will say, with kind of continuing on with the topic of Jonah Hill, that's one of the reasons why I think Jensen Ackles has to really be careful with what he chooses next.
Well, yeah, because he is a good actor. He's got chops. He's got range. But they're going to start putting him in the big, dumb, violent muscle roles.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, with Supernatural and being Soldier Boy, if he continues on, that's all people are going to expect from him. That's all people are going to want from him.
Is it really that bad of a thing, though, to get to watch Jensen Ackles blow shit up and have cheesy one-liners? We need new 80s heroes because they're all getting too old.
Sin. If you've seen 10-Inch Hero, where you see Jensen Ackles with a blue mohawk, a kilt, and just snarking everything, you know why that's a loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those it's one of those things where it's like, look, if you're looking at it from, what you want to see, it's what he is known for and what he is able to do. If he wants to do a comedy, at that point, it's going to be very difficult for him to get cast in a comedy because nobody wants to see him in a comedy. They want to see him being the gruff.
Correctly.
Yeah.
The only reason he's doing The Boys is because before Supernatural or during Supernatural, he was approached to do Cats in America, but scheduling conflicts. Then they wanted him as one of the newer Batmans, and he turned that down for something. And they're just like, "We want you as a superhero." He's like, "Fine, I'll go be Soldier Boy for a while."
Yeah,
I can actually say if he would have been in the newest The Batman movie, I would have enjoyed it. I fucking hated that movie. God, that was 3 hours. I could have scratched my ass and it'd have been more entertaining for 3 hours.
The sci-fi one that shall not be named?
I'm talking about the newest one.
No, I'm talking about Shelby's answer.
yeah.
Oh.
Like, I know what she means by The Surge, because that one is a pretty bad movie, but that's one of my favorites, just because of how bad it is. But yeah, I don't know this sci-fi one that shall not be named.
That would have been good. I would have liked to see him play live action Jason Todd. Yes.
Look, they could have even got his Supernatural actors, like, for the kids. Look, it's Little Dean. Is that Little Dean getting beaten to death by a crowbar? Keep going further with the meta joke. Just get Jeffrey Dean Morgan to play Joker for that scene. It's like, is that Little Dean getting beaten to death by a crowbar by John?
See, I don't know. I could not see him as the Joker.
You don't need to have his face or anything. Just get him to do it as a cameo.
Yeah,
I mean, he was a pretty bad comedian.
At that point, you run the risk.
I thought he was great as the comedian. I love that character.
I mean, as the comedian, yes, but as the Joker, no. No. And having him come in just to be the body double that you don't see the face doing it, you're leaning too much into relying on supernatural fans.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm saying it would be hilarious as an in-joke.
The one man I think that would make the best Joker has not yet been cast yet. That is simply William Dafoe. Because he doesn't need prosthetics to smile as big and wide and creepy as the fucking Joker.
He wouldn't be able to do it.
Why?
Because he doesn't have the right balance. Look at his Green Goblin. He can't do the sane versus insane without doing a split screen. I would not for a second buy that Dafoe can switch between Joker's personas.
I think he could.
What he would have to do when he channels, like, not batshit insane Joker, is he would need to channel the character that he played in Platoon. The guy was pretty easygoing, a regular person.
I don't know. I think it's just, at this point, William Dafoe is just so synonymous with weird shit happening that anytime I see him, I always expect something batshit insane to happen.
So I get that same feeling every time I hear the name Nicolas Cage.
Well, yeah, but that's his career.
Yeah.
Well, when you buy a multi-million-dollar Tyrannosaurus Rex skull that you're not supposed to have, you kind of have to pay things like that back. And when you run fast and loose with your money, you kind of got to make money where you can.
Expect anything less.
No. I love Nicolas Cage.
No, I'm saying, it's not even Nick Cage. It's his family. That's just what happens when you're a Coppola.
Yeah.
I think he'd make a great Joker.
No, he'd make a better Jokerized Tim.
I don't know. I could see him being a really awesome Joker.
Return of the Joker from Batman Beyond, he would be a great
as an old
him.
He'd make. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the actors, so like Cage, Dafoe, we're all getting old. So are they. That's why I was, mentioning, that's why I made the comment earlier. But I'd like to see Jensen Ackles play, do more action roles, simply because all the 80s action heroes we have are, other than Stallone, because he's fucking nuts. Yeah, I guess he just doesn't care. He wants to die while making an action movie.
Van Damme and Lundgren are still in great shape. They just don't want to do acting much anymore.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and besides, Lundgren's a fucking genius anyhow, so he doesn't really have to act.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to.
Well, I think it's hilarious that he got his first role because he was dating Grace Jones at the time.
Yeah.
Which also is just, that's a fucking power couple, man.
Now,
my favorite thing about Dolph Lundgren, real quick, is the fact that he punched Stallone in the chest and put him in the hospital.
Yeah. No, my favorite
Hit me.
thing about...
Hit me.
Huh?
Stallone's like, no, really, hit me. Ugh.
Oh, yeah, during that. My favorite Dolph Lundgren fact is that somebody tried robbing his house once while he was filming Rocky or something. I think it was Masters of the Universe, actually. And he got a call from his wife, and she's like, you need to come home now. And he got there and he told the cops, he's like, what happened? She's like, somebody broke into the house and like tied us up and was ransacking the place. He's like, okay, where are they? And she told him that they were ransacking the place, making demands, and then they stopped, looked on the mantle of the fireplace, saw his picture, realized whose house they were robbing, and was like, oh fuck, I'm robbing Ivan Drago. I'm gonna let you go and run.
Yeah.
I
So-
must break you.
So speaking of Sylvester Stallone, have either of you seen the trailer for The Samaritan?
I have not.
Vaguely, I don't know. I think I might have caught a couple seconds of it before I fell asleep.
That looks like it could be an interesting one. It's kind of it's Sylvester Stallone as basically a retired superhero who's just kind of like he's wanting out of the game and stuff like that.
So he's retired, Dredd?
Kind of.
Does Rob Schneider make an appearance just for the hell of it?
I doubt it, because it looks like it looks like a very much more of the serious line of.
Well, I mean, thank God,
superhero.
because if there was ever two actors that should never share a screen, it's Rob Schneider and Stallone.
Yeah. Ugh.
Don't get me wrong. Stallone and Armand Asante was great because that was just ham versus ham.
Well, and the funny thing is, so Monasante looked close enough to Stallone. They could be brothers. Even though
Yeah,
he
I
was supposed to be a twin clone.
Yeah, and then they were like, "You're clones." I was like, "Don't believe that one."
Well, it's you don't necessarily get all the same traits.
Well, that's kind of what cloning is.
It's a carbon copy. So the thing I'm looking forward to with trepidation is Amazon is working on a new series based on Fallout.
We'll see how that one goes.
So far I've seen screenshots or set shots of the Super Duper Mart. It looks very much like the Super Duper Mart that is in Fallout 4.
3. Fallout 3.
No, I'm talking about, they patterned it from the shots and from the YouTube videos I've watched. They patterned it after one.
The Super Duper Mart is in Fallout 3.
There's also one in 4.
Fallout 3 is the one that they modeled it after.
Okay. Well, so my gripe was the cars. That's what I was going to get at.
Yeah.
It's because the cars are real world cars.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to go to the trouble, make fiberglass mock-up shells of the cars that you see in actual Fallout. I don't want to see an old Chevy pickup in Fallout. I don't want to see an old Buick in Fallout.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the 50s aesthetics, but futurized 50s aesthetics.
Yeah, these were, like I said, one of them was a Buick, or it was either a Buick or a Chevy, because it still had the hood emblem on it and the truck and stuff.
Now, I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they changed those out with 3D with 3D models.
They very well could. So the one thing that's got me super excited about it, though, is one of my favorite small screen actors is playing a ghoul. It's Walt Goggins. So if you're not familiar with Walt Goggins, if you ever watched Sons of Anarchy, there was a transgender character called Venus Delight, I think was her name. She was played by Walt Goggins. Walt Goggins was also Boyd Crowder in Justified. He's going to be playing a ghoul.
I mean, yeah,
I'm super excited about that.
I've barely heard anything about that, but it is one of those things. It's like, okay, that done as like a streaming series, I could see that working, because it's like I don't think you could do a good Fallout a good Fallout movie. There's too much stuff to explain to a non-gaming audience. That
Well, I mean, why not? They're trying to make a Borderlands movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, Borderlands has some build up and some story building and stuff like that, but they don't really go as deep into it, even in the game, as Fallout does. It's like there's a lot of build up for for the Fallout universe, for the Fallout games and stuff.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, that's what I hate about video game movies, is that they take games with all this lore and shit, and then there's like,
Yeah.
what's the basic that we can put in?
Yeah, it's
Well,
like,
and that's why.
Assassin's
So that's why I think it's good that, like Ollamh said, is that I think it's good that they're going to be doing this as a multi-episode series, as opposed to just trying to do a big blockbuster budget, big budget blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
Because you have more time for character exposition, world building, and everything else. One of the other things I know is going to be in it is the Brotherhood of Steel.
yeah.
Because they had on-set pictures of T-51 power armor, but I don't think it had the head on it. It didn't have
Okay.
the helmet part.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a Brotherhood of Steel, because on the left arm it had the full red chevron. So I think it was like a lower ranked Brotherhood member.
Okay, yeah, that would be really cool. Another one that's coming up within like a week or two, I think within a week, is on Hulu, is Prey, the next Predator movie. And that's supposed to be like that's supposed to be the Predator's first hunt on Earth. Which means that they are they are trying to ignore and erase the Predator versus Alien stuff. They're like, no.
It's supposed to be the Alien vs Predator, where they're like, oh yeah, they came here like in the early Ice Age.
Yeah. Now that one does look like it's going to be pretty awesome. And hello there, Rascal.
Welcome, Ras.
Hello.
So I'm sitting here thinking of something, and I don't know which way I'm going on it.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if it's
Top.
because of Stranger Things, or just it seems more prominent after Stranger Things. But the resurgence of the 80s aesthetic has really been hitting hard lately, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I'm going to call it good.
I think it's kind of that it's the 80s have been long enough ago that they're not, that a lot of TV shows and movies and stuff aren't necessarily sure where they want to go from here, so they're kind of like they're going with the retro stuff.
Yeah.
I just watched an entire episode of Inside Job. It's a Netflix show where they're stuck in a town, stuck in the 80s.
I guess it's not as bad, because the elements they're pulling from the 80s are the ones that you can like kind of get lost in and enjoy. You don't have to think too much.
So,
We
Caden,
haven't
how old
brought
are you?
back the hookers and blow in the padded suits yet.
Caden, how old are you?
I'm 32. I was born in the 90s.
Okay, so see, that's why it's kind of meh to you.
No, because see, both my siblings were born in the 80s, so I grew up saturated in the 80s, whether I liked it or not.
But still, that's all by proxy.
Yes,
So,
but we
like,
had this conversation before. Remember, your 80s is not the same as everybody else's 80s.
Well, I mean, now here's another reason why I think they're kind of everything's starting to show up with the 80s aesthetic and stuff, is most of the people that are creating the shows and movies and stuff like that are people who grew up in the 80s. They're the people that have the say now.
Yeah. And
The
I think
older
that-
people from the 60s and 70s are getting too old. They're retiring. They're getting out of the game. So now...
I think that's why we're only getting certain elements of the 80s. Like, we're not getting what you normally
Yeah.
got. People talk about the 80s. Like, you're not getting the cheesy action movies, and like I said, the hookers and below and the padded suits. You're getting, like, the neon and the pop culture and all that.
Well, yeah, you're getting the 80s that people who grew up in the 80s are remembering and saying, hey, look, we can do this, but we can do it with modern day technology, modern day actors. We can do it now, and we can make it better than it was before.
And that's why Retrowave is so popular. I mean, Miracle Hirsch, his music is more 80s than the 80s, and I've been tuning into a lot of it. And as someone who was born in 79...
Oh, that makes me the old man in the room.
That's
But
not
as-
surprising.
as many of us here in this room remember, the 80s itself had a resurgence of the 50s. Now, I'm not just talking Back to the Future.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
But
See,
yeah,
this is why I can't do this shit, because, like, everyone's like, oh, well, when your generation gets in power, you'll be nostalgic. I'm like, no, we won't, because the 90s fucking sucked.
I will agree with you on that. The 90s did fucking suck.
yeah, I mean,
There were some cool things in the 90s.
Yeah,
Just not as
Name
many as
one
the
good
80s.
thing.
Yes.
Name one good thing that came out of the 90s that you would bring back in a heartbeat.
Mortal Kombat, the movie from 1995.
That doesn't count, because that
Crow movie.
off of the game.
Okay,
Pro
Mortal
movie.
Kombat, the game.
Okay, I'll give you Mortal Kombat the game.
I mean that's
No, I'm talking like the one absolute, like, what is the 90s sound to you? Like, what's the pulse of the 90s?
And Sin,
Oh,
what were you
typo
saying?
negative.
Ooh, that's a
Typo
good one.
negative.
Typo negative. V&V Nation, but they're still touring, so.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, like, every decade has, I guess, zeitgeist, whatever it is, the icon that, like, you put that out there. It's like, that's definitely that decade.
Okay, Republica.
What the hell is Republica?
I'm gonna have to link you some stuff, aren't I?
Probably.
Like, I knew a guy who in
Me?
2005 was complaining, my favorite band broke up. When did they break up? 1999. And you're just now finding out, yeah.
God damn.
I'm quoting an
Really,
old
it's not
episode
much
of
of-
Real Life Comics, but
Clearly, it wasn't that much of a favorite band if you didn't find out till 6 years later or 7 years later that they
But
broke
no,
up.
I mean, there's some bands that just don't release albums for that long. So you're just like, oh,
Sure,
maybe
yeah.
a hiatus. And then you're like, oh, they broke up.
yeah, grunge rock really is very much a staple of the 80s or the 90s rather. Yeah.
Well,
But-
that's what I'm saying. It's like the 90s, we don't have as many easily remembered things. Like, we have Furbies, boy bands, and Clinton.
But
like-
Tamagotchi.
I mean,
Yeah, and Tamagotchi and Pokemon. That's
the
the 90s.
Super Nintendo was the 90s.
Yes.
The Sega
I had a
Genesis.
Tamagotchi. I
was-
actually had one.
did the Genesis come out in the 80s or the 90s? I can't remember.
I
have been late 80s.
Late 80s. Late
Okay,
the
So I
Genesis
was-
came out in the late 80s, and then the Dreamcast came out in the 90s.
okay.
wait, wasn't the Dreamcast the one that pretty much like
Two goats.
No, the
killed
Dreamcast.
the
The Dreamcast was good,
Oh.
but it's just that they didn't release a lot of good games over here.
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. It's like that kind of the Dreamcast was like what really just kind of like buried Sega for a good long while. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, because we got like Blue Dragon and the original Soul Calibur and a couple other good games on Dreamcast. And then Japan's like, nah, we got all the good games on Dreamcast. We're just not exporting them. Fuck you.
Give us time and piracy. But okay, apparently Republica reunited in 08, so never mind, they're still around.
I mean, yeah, that's. I mean, as far as pop culture, Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what.
Vampire the Masquerade was one of the great things that was in the 90s.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
1991 for first edition, 92 for second, 98 for third,
And
and
the
we didn't get
that-
fourth edition until 2011.
The 90s had that weird outlook on life where, like, you're supposed to be a total slacker, a surfer, just get high all your entire life, and yet somehow, despite never doing a day's work in your life, you're going to end up a CEO multimillionaire.
That's also, I think that's a holdover from the 80s.
Probably.
I just thought of something. Dark Sun. Dark Sun came out in the early 90s, about the same time as Vampire the Masquerade.
Another thing that was great about the 90s, Jim Henson, show on Sci-Fi, John Crichton. What the fuck is it called?
Didn't
Amazing
Henson die in...
Stories?
What, didn't Henson die in 88?
It
Or
was,
you
still,
talking
it was
his
Henson's
production?
company. It was
Okay.
his production company.
Okay.
It was on the Sci-Fi Channel, had a Dargo, Shiana, John Crichton.
Okay, I thought you mentioned
Boy,
the man himself for a sec. Yeah, the show doesn't sound familiar, though.
It doesn't sound anything familiar to me.
1 second. I have to, because of the name, like I just rattled off like all the major characters, but I can't think of the name of the show.
Wait,
I hear your pain.
Have the
I
90s?
went on a binge of watching every 80s Saturday morning cartoon opener recently, and
Farscape.
oh, that one.
See, I thought you were talking about that because you said John Crichton. I was like, do you just mean the guy who played John Crichton?
No, I'm talking about the show
Yeah, no.
together.
Okay, so did Sliders come out in the 90s or was that late 80s?
That was the 90s.
Yeah, I
Fox
guess.
TV in the 90s.
Yeah.
I can
Back
see.
when they were still.
Yeah. I could see, give a few decades and a lot of that stuff will be redone in a much, much better fashion.
Sliders would be great to remake today.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny when I Google Sliders, all I see are sandwiches.
Yeah, we unfortunately live in the
So-
age of
Yeah,
podcast.
I know what you're talking about.
No, well, I'm saying, like, Sliders was one of those shows that if you know it, you know it, but otherwise you just get the shit version of Quantum Leap.
I mean, hell,
I just thought of something.
Go ahead, Ras.
Two things: Deep Space Nine and Herman's Head.
Eh.
What about Joe's Apartment? Wasn't that
Oh,
the
God,
90s?
Joe's Apartment, that was 90s.
Gods.
So see,
Back when
90s
Joe-
had some cool stuff.
every-
MTV made movies that were actually entertaining and weren't.
MTV still played music.
Occasionally, the Real World and other things that were coming out by then. Daria is a 90s thing.
oh,
What
now
about
see,
Beavis
now,
and Butthead, actually. I think that's.
True.
now see,
No, at
with
least-
with the with bringing up like Joe's Apartments, yeah, that was in the 90s. That was yeah, okay. The 90s also brought us The Pest.
Hey, that's a good movie.
Was that?
I don't care if John Leguizamo tries to bury that movie. That was a good movie.
That was a bad movie. Like, oh my god. That is a movie they will that is one of those movies they will never fucking remake.
They can't. Nobody will fucking do it. Well, that and, the main villain was put in jail for a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know. But no, I mean, that is a fucking textbook guilty pleasure right there, because nothing about that movie is good.
You know,
I can't help but watch it. I love that movie.
I haven't heard anything about it recently. I know they were talking about it. Let me take a look and see.
Music stores. There were actually music stores in the 90s.
Yes, I
It's
do miss.
another good thing.
Damn goody.
We still have a nice one here. There's, although we're losing part of it. Dandelions shares a store with Exile on Main here in town, and well, we're losing Dandelions. Just announced their closure today.
So in my area, we had Homer's, worldwide chain of 2. And they had all the obscure, like you could find the best obscure metal, just weird stuff. I can remember like when Motley Crue launched their own brand of soda. And the selling point was it made your shit green or some fucking bizarre color.
Oh.
That was the selling Crew Brew or something like that.
Yes, the skeleton.
Oh my
drinks.
God!
Oh my God! Yes, I remember that.
Another great thing was, as far as like, so where I lived at in the 90s, I lived down in Oklahoma, so we'd go over to Fayetteville, which was just right across the border in Fayetteville, Arkansas. There was a Hastings Music. Hastings, not only at the time, not only did they have like books, comic books, any genre of music you wanted, they rented Nintendo games.
Ooh.
Funny thing was, they had a ton of adult, or in other words, porn Nintendo games.
You just also reminded
NES.
You reminded me of something. Do you remember Curtis Mathis?
Yes.
They rented Atari and Coleco games. And good gods, did the Atari ever have a lot of porn games?
Look, there was a while that we just experimented with pixelated 8-bit porn.
Is it sad that Leisure Suit Larry showed them the way?
Is it bad that Leisure Suit Larry exists? Yes.
Leisure Suit Larry Leisure Suit Larry was hardly the start of that. What was it? Custard's Revenge.
Yeah, I was like, don't forget
God.
Revenge. Yes.
That
was
thing
on the Atari.
Yes.
Yep. When I say show them away, I mean made something good for a change, but...
So
the whole purpose of Custer's Revenge was for Custer to capture a Native American woman and do terrible things to her.
While she's tied to a post.
So going to the comments here, going to the chat here.
I'm afraid to look.
Curious commenting on Quantum Leap.
September 19th.
September 19th is supposed to be the premiere of the Quantum Leap reboot.
Oh
Scott
God!
Bakula still?
I don't know if they're going to bring. I haven't seen anything as far as Scott Bakula coming in.
Not watching it. Scott Bakula's not
I
on
think he said he was interested in doing a cameo, but he doesn't want to go back to the series.
It would be kind of weird to bring him in with how the original series ended, with him he leaped out at the end, but they weren't able to track him anymore. So it was.
Oh, yeah. I just thought about the actual text that followed the final episode.
They're going to play hell finding a protagonist as good as the one that Scott Bakula played, though. It's going to be next to impossible.
It's going to be it will definitely be a challenge. I don't think it's next to impossible. I think they just have to, they're going to have to be really. They're going to have really good writers and a really good actor.
That's my nostalgia talking there. That's why I said next to impossible.
Yeah.
I loved that show.
Yeah, I did too. It was a fantastic show, and yeah, it's one of those. It's like it's.
You know what? I'm actually kind of surprised me and Wrestling haven't listed off 2 games from the 90s that came out.
So, the funniest thing about Quantum Leap was, my mom would not watch anything science fiction. She thought it was just stupid as could be. She just, because she was old school, it was, silly made up shit to her. She would watch Quantum Leap because other than if she, he'd pop into the 50s. So she'd sit down and she'd watch it with me. Because she didn't know that he's a time traveler fixing these people's lives. She'd just sit down and watch it because it was a good show. If she would have known what was, the premise of it, she would have said, "Oh, that's stupid. I'm not watching that."
I could have sworn for the longest time that Quantum Leap was an 80s show, but when I went back, it's like, wait, it was all 90s? Started in the 90s, ended in the 90s? What?
Huh.
Yeah, I also thought it went a lot longer than I did, and I was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it really has all the hallmarks of an 80s show. It really does.
Well, yeah. And like I said, compared to the shows around it, it really wasn't as technical, but it was just better.
Yeah.
But Caden, can I take a guess at what the 2 games you were thinking of were?
Go ahead, throw a guess out.
One would be Warcraft 1.
Wrong.
Ooh, and my other guess was Street Fighter 2.
Also wrong.
What are the games you were talking about?
The two games that, even though we had Mortal Kombat and Warcraft and all of that come out, the two games that overshadow almost everybody's 90s nostalgia are two Final Fantasies.
4 and 6?
7 and 8.
Oh, yes. Sorry. For me, I didn't get 7 until 2000 for the PC, and I just now recently found my old copy, but I never had a PS1.
Is it bad that, I may have come into enjoying, we'll admit it, I'm a 7 fanboy, but I don't enjoy the new Final Fantasy 7s. Like, I don't like all the shit they've done with it.
I've told myself I will give it a whirl. I mean, I'm literally playing FF14 right this moment, so...
Well, yeah, I was about to say, I've just renewed my account until January, so I can enjoy Final Fantasy whenever. But
Okay,
I don't like everything to do with it. Yeah.
Going to the chat here. Evie, hello. And we're not really talking about a specific movie. We're kind of talking more general movies or TV shows that from the 90s that would probably wind up getting some sort of a remake in a few decades when the 90s kids are 90s kids. They're not really kids, but when the 90s people start really influencing what's being made and stuff like that. Because what we're seeing right now is really very much, we're starting to see the 80s really kind of getting a push because the 80s people are really, they're the ones calling the shots. Now, one 90s game that I would like to see a decent, I would say a decent series. I think it would be better off as a streaming series would be Soul Calibur. I think that would be interesting. It would be an interesting thing to go with. But like I said, I don't know if you could do a movie about it.
But that's what I'm saying. That's my opinion. Is Soul Calibur is another one where there's so much lore and there's so much uniqueness in some of those characters. If you try to do a movie, it's going to end up like Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yes, I think honestly, if you were going to do Soul Calibur, I wouldn't even do a mini-series. I wouldn't even do I would say make it into a comic book. That seems
the
like
Nintendo 64 came out in 1997, I believe.
I think 6. Wasn't it 1996?
So
Was it in prototype in 1996 and then it came out completely in 97? Or did it come out in 97 and then they upgraded it? Or it came out in 96 and they upgraded it in 97?
I'm just trying to remember if they were putting out the CD system for the Super Nintendo or the N64.
June
Got
23rd.
canned either way, but...
June
It was
23rd, 1996.
Okay. It was supposed to be for the Super Nintendo originally, but the mounting didn't work. And then they tried it for the N64, but the entire console wouldn't have accepted a CD port, so they just released that in Japan. It sucked. Nobody liked it, and they just quietly killed it.
See, the only reason I know that the N64 came out in 1996 was because that was when I turned 18. I started working at Best Buy that year, and that was the big Black Friday item for the media department was the N64.
Well, my defense, I was 6 years old, so it was kind of hard to remember when it came out.
Wait, was that the Best Buy here in town?
Mm-hmm.
God, so it was still over there on Anthony Drive?
Yep.
So,
Wow.
if I were to pick one, since we're kind of talking about fighting games and such, if I were to pick one fighting game I would love to see remade, Blood and Iron.
The Ravenloft one?
Yes.
I mean, it finally put Lord Soth in a video game that was not Death Knights of Krynn, but...
Yes. To me, it's the greatest fighting game ever because I give a shit about the characters. The only other fighting games I've really cared about was like Street Fighter 2 because I liked Guile, and then Mortal Kombat because I liked Scorpion. And if Scorpion wouldn't have pulled his mask off and had a skull head, I wouldn't have given two shits about him.
He kind of works along... In 11, he's working with a real face now, so... because he's quasi undead. I don't know.
Yeah, I
He's a
watched
revenant.
watched the most recent Mortal Kombat movie, and I did really enjoy it. I thought it was really well done.
I still need to see it, but go on.
I was just saying, I watched it. I enjoyed it. I mean, I can remember going to see the very first one in the theaters.
Yeah.
The one
And
where.
I can
Go ahead.
I can remember seeing when they had Scorpion and Sub-Zero walking side by side like they were buddies. I was almost so pissed off that I walked out of the theater.
Yeah, but then they explained that they were being brainwashed. I was like, okay, I'll accept that mildly.
Can't brainwash a zombie.
He's not a zombie, he's a revenant.
So,
Necromancy is a thing.
And Shang Tsung is a soul sorcerer.
It's true. So if anyone could get away with it, but I do like how they brought his actor, Kerry Tokugawa, in for Mortal Kombat 11.
Are you kidding me? They said he leapt at the chance to do it back.
I am so happy because they used his likeness and made up young and old versions of him. And we all use the young version because we all want the movie version of Shang Tsung.
Because he was the best part of the movie.
Your soul is mine.
Now, see, okay, so Evie says, some cartoons that they should remake is like Cat Dog.
Yeah, I've been stewing
monsters.
over that. Cat Dog, I don't think would work anymore because, like Adventure Time and Gumball and all that shit. The mild gross out humor that Cat Dog was known for was like Ren and Stimpy level, and that just doesn't affect people anymore.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true because there's there's Adventure Time and stuff like that, and like Steven Universe that was really really cutesy stuff, but there's also stuff like Rick and Morty.
Well, no, what I'm saying is because of shows like Rick and Morty that have raised the bar, if you were to go with like the classic Cat Dog humor, it wouldn't hit the same because it's not as edgy anymore.
They would have to step it up a bit, but I think they could remake Cat Dog. Hey Arnold, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of people, your primary audience remember Hey Arnold and would love to see that remade. Or
I'd like to see Eek Real Monsters done again, only a little bit better animation.
Yeah, Our Real Monsters would be fucking amazing to remake.
Okay, I'm going to say it. I want a redo of the 80s cartoon version of Teen Wolf. And now I secure my place in hell.
I think we just want a better done redo of Teen Wolf.
What the?
So,
there's supposed to be one. There's one coming out. They are remaking Teen Wolf.
If they're going to do that, they need to also redo Turbo Teen.
Oh, Turbo Teen, a kid who turns into his car
And fights a Bigfoot. 80s cartoon that I want to see redone is Dungeons and Dragons. I want them to get all the original voice actors as long as they're not dead.
Can we just make one decent Zelda? Just the animation movie. I don't give a fuck. Just make
Well, excuse me, princess.
Like if he utters that shit. If anybody in a new Zelda movie utters the "well, excuse me," I immediately want them to get a cuckoo to the face.
No, that should be immediate beheading. That should just be an immediate beheading. That's just like
no, you gotta keep it lore appropriate, so they gotta get just something to the face or thrown off a cliff.
I'd be up for anything Ghost Rider wise. Evie, I always like Ghost Rider.
I would be surprised if we don't see Ghost Rider again in the MCU properties before too long.
Back. Ghost Rider was fun.
But I don't want.
Give me a sec. Dog is barking.
I think he's Robbie Reyes. I think because he's not Ghost Rider to me. He drives a fucking car.
Yeah.
He's Ghost Driver.
Yeah,
That's
the Jessica Jones.
I mean, if he's sitting in the passenger seat and the car's driving around its own, then he's Ghost Rider.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think Ghost Rider's. I think Ghost Rider will see Ghost Rider again. mostly because they're very much pushing towards the Midnight Suns
Yes.
stuff, and you can't have the Midnight Suns without Ghost Rider.
Oh, so I did check out the Sandman trailer after we talked about it.
Oh. Look,
I should have known that they were going to bring in the Corinthian.
Back. I'm thinking someone. There has been someone who's been messing around in my backyard, and I think my dog saw them for a second, scared them off. So
Good dog.
she's
So
half
I-
greyhound and half dachshund.
so I picture someone in the background, in the backyard on a swing, like, "Ee!" or playing hopscotch or something like that.
No,
Because you
there's-
said messing around.
Yeah.
Not stealing shit, not actively destroying anything. No. Like a 6'4" child.
Window. Like, what are you doing?
I think I may have rented the house out to one of those briefly.
I know for a fact you used to live with one of those.
Uh-huh. There's a reason I evicted him. I've evicted a lot of people now that I think about it. Damn, I'm a slumlord.
No.
I know, I'm
You
saying
actually, you actually maintain your you actually maintain your stuff.
Not as much as I used to, but
Wait, what?
there is a point where after so many people destroy so much of it, you begin to stop caring about fixing the damage.
Because I was going to ask Rasslin what we were just talking about, like his opinion on it, but I forgot what we were just talking about.
Sandman?
Yes, Sandman.
I'm actually not. I know the premise of Sandman, but I don't really read it, or I know it's coming out on Netflix. Maybe that'll be my true introduction to it. We'll see.
I hope not, because, like I said, the moment I saw
Read the
them,
comic. Read the
the
comic.
moment I saw they brought in the Corinthian, just straight out the gate, I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad.
The only Sandman story I've read, as far as comics go, is that one where he puts Baghdad in a jar, like an ancient version of it.
Okay, so how are you with creepy, just uncanny valley characters?
Oh, I'm pretty good with that.
Yeah, so the Corinthian is a nightmare that got brought to life, and his defining feature is that he wears sunglasses 24/7. And that is because when he takes the sunglasses off, he doesn't have eyes, he just has two smaller, fully teethed mouths. And he eats people's eyeballs.
I mean, I've definitely seen. I remember seeing were-ravens that have to eat people's eyes back in White Wolf, so.
And I was like, that works great on paper. When I see it in live action, because they never did a close up of his face. So when I see it live action, I don't know if it's going to have the same impact.
Did you ever watch the Preacher series?
I watched
Based on the comic.
Get through all of it.
I watched all of it. They had Ass Face. It was a pretty fair representation of the character from the. I mean, he was pretty close to matching.
Yeah, I think I got
Cassidy looked different.
I think I got to the first half of the second season when they just introduced the Saint of Killers. Like he just got up.
I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was done pretty well. Now
Yeah,
I made it.
I put it down because I got busy and I just haven't picked it back up yet.
So I made a point. So as you know, I watched the first episode. Then I made sure to read the entire series because I was curious to how faithful they were going to be to it. And I mean, they take liberties. Of course, they're going to take liberties because when you're trying to cram like 2 years worth of comics or however long the run went into like 2 seasons or 3 seasons of TV show, you've got to skip a bunch of crap. And
Well, that and because, I don't care what streaming platform we're putting it on. I doubt they're going to let the 3-minute scene of a guy sticking a gun in his pants and chanting Doomcock to get anywhere.
So, all right, real quickly, going back to the chat here. So, Evie, as far as the black and red version or the all white version of Ghost Rider, I don't know what they'd be going with. I don't know. I really, that's a tough one because I don't know if they would be going with like trying to continue on kind of the I would imagine that with bringing in Charlie Cox as Daredevil, they're talking about they're going to be bringing back Jessica Jones. I would imagine that they're probably going to go with that version, or at least that general character of Ghost Rider.
That Ghost Rider should be Danny Ketch. Because after Johnny Blaze, I want to say Zarathos, the demon of vengeance, went to Danny Ketch.
Yeah. I don't know, like I said, I don't know. I don't know what look they're going to do. Hopefully they have him as an actual like bike rider thing, like Sin said. He's not Michael Knight. He is not Michael Knight. And yeah, that just ruins the character. Now, Shelby, as far as Captain Planet, I would actually kind of like to see a bit more modern version of Captain Planet,
and not just Don Cheadle being a jackass.
Yeah,
as hilarious as that was.
I mean, yeah, that was as far as just being a parody. That was pretty amusing. But yeah, I mean, Fern Gully. Now, I don't know if they could do a Fern Gully without being overly preachy.
They can't do a Fern Gully without Robin Williams. They tried it with the second one, and it sucked.
Yeah.
Without Batty Coda, there's no Fern Gully.
Plus, Fern Gully was painfully 90s. I do agree with her.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, and I don't know if they could. I don't know if they could do that. I don't know if they could do that.
Plus,
Okay.
what was the Smog character from Fern Gully? He was voiced by.
His name was Hexus, and he was voiced by Curry. And you will love his toxic love.
And yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is
he had the best
Curry
villain song ever.
Yes, yeah, I will agree. So I mean, is Tim Curry capable of doing any of that, vocally anymore? I mean,
Actually, no. He had about 5 strokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't. I remember. I knew he had some health issues, so
Yeah,
I didn't know what, and then I didn't want to
can
speak
barely-
ill of him because I like Tim Curry.
Actually,
Yeah.
he's still alive.
Last I checked, yes, he's
He is
still alive. It's just, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's retired after the strokes and
I'm
stuff.
sure.
It's like, yeah, that's.
I'm sure.
And the dude worked hard. The dude, I don't think he said no. I would be surprised if to find out that he said no to a project.
Oh, he has. There's been several he has, but it's roles that once you realize that Tim Curry was offered them and he said no, and you think of Tim Curry in those roles, you're like, yeah, that wouldn't have worked anyways.
Okay, but yeah, it's
It's kind of like Bruce Willis right now. He's still cranking movies out because his time is running out.
yeah. I don't know.
But I mean-
I don't know if he's. I think he is pretty much like accepted it and just kind of stepped back and retired from doing anything new at this point.
Well, I went to the dollar store yesterday, and at the Red Box there was a new Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
that
it
I
was.
hadn't heard of.
Yeah, it was within the last year that it came out as far as his condition and stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm stepping back." So there's probably still 1 or 2 movies that are still, that he shot.
That he hasn't released.
Yeah, that have been shot. They're doing the special effects. They're editing them and gonna pump them out.
Yeah.
Now I do appreciate the fact that Jeff Bridges is kind of stepping up and starting to kind of get his, old retired action hero type thing. His type of period as the old retired. I would not be
Badass.
surprised. Yeah, I would not be surprised if he takes on Bruce Willis's.
Well, I mean, Jeff, his stroke work for him, honestly.
I mean, there was one with him and John Lithgow. that came out recently.
Oh
I-
God, yeah, that was not what I expected from Lithgow when it came out. When I saw it, but
Well, I will always love the original Rooster Cogburn because you just can't top the Duke. I did enjoy Bridges' version of it.
I didn't like the female character in that movie in the first place, but the new one is even more annoying somehow.
Well, I don't watch it for that. I didn't watch it for her. I watched it for, Rooster.
Do you watch
Does he-
a John Wayne movie for anybody but John Wayne? That just seems blasphemous.
Yeah.
Well, true.
I mean,
True.
you want to talk about a stereotypical actor, or an actor that was kind of he was typecast because no matter what movie he was in, he always played John Wayne.
Yep.
yeah, even in Genghis
Yeah.
Khan.
Yes, I was actually going to mention that.
Yeah,
so-
that was one of those, honestly, that I'm just like, really? John Wayne can do a lot. John Wayne was a great actor, but Genghis Khan, he is not.
Bring that up when people are like, "What's the problem with casting a white actor as a minority?" I'm just like, Genghis Khan.
So I have that issue. I mean, and yeah, I think it's stupid. But I have that issue with anything like that. Not whether it's if the character is supposed to be white, then white actor. If the character's supposed to be black, black actor. If the character's
Yeah.
supposed to be Asian actor.
Especially,
Chinese, Japanese, whatever. I mean, I want them to stay true to the source material. I hate when they change that, no matter what it is.
that's
Ghost in the
that's
Shell
my
looking
problem.
at you.
That's my problem with Genghis Khan in particular. It's like it's not just a character. It's like this is this is a historical real life
Yeah.
person. It's like
yeah.
that's the point where it's like just that's just
Oh my
disrespectful.
God, Bible man.
I remember Willie Ames was the voice of Bible Man. I want to say.
Oh,
I was just thinking of Breakfast at Tiffany's there for a second.
See, I when you bring up bringing up anything Bible related at that, it's like I think it was there was a performance of the greatest story ever told, where they had John Wayne as one of the Roman soldiers, and his one line was, "Truly he was the Son of God." It's like that's not
No.
how do you cast the quintessential American cowboy as a Roman?
He's from that period where the Romans conquered Arizona.
okay, Shelby. Sin did actually mention the Crow. I just chose to look at.
The Crow would be an interesting one.
It's also very easy to fuck up. I mean,
We have so many Crow comics that we could adapt.
yes.
I'm gonna say
Leave,
the
leave
first.
Eric Draven alone. No
That-
more Eric Draven.
Yeah.
Nobody else gets to play Eric Draven.
The first 3 Crow movies were great. The moment they put Edward fucking Furlong in the Crow, the series needed to die. We
I
can't.
had to think for a second about who that was, and I remembered, oh yeah, kid from Terminator.
We can't come back from that. You put Edward Furlong, what is her name? I cannot remember her name. She played in Sharknado. She's a stereotypical bimbo.
Oh god, Sharknado.
Tara I
Tara
think
Reid?
Yeah, her. They put her in it, and fucking Danny Trejo.
Okay, I like Danny Trejo.
Yeah, but Danny Trejo is the best part of the movie, and that's what kills it.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Trejo is one of those other people that's kind of like, I mean, for a fact a good portion of his roles, he's kind of looks at it as like, fuck it sounds fun, I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's just
No,
like, fuck, I don't care.
Like, when it comes to the Crow movies, you can usually tell the vibe of the movie by how the Crow gets his distinctive face makeup, right? So, like, the first Crow, he gets it because it's Ellie's makeup and he's, doing it as a commemoration, and that's awesome. The second movie, Ash gets it because that's Shelley from the first movie, and she's doing it as a remembrance of Eric, and she knows what Ash is going through. Okay, that's cool. Third movie is just fucking amazing because he gets, he's in the electric chair, his face gets fried, he peels off his own goddamn face to reveal the scars. I was like, that right there, I know this is going to be a good movie. In Edward Furlong's movie, it's Sharpie.
So what I'm hearing is Edward Furlong decided to pioneer ahead of Jared Leto.
Oh God!
I had to make the horrible joke. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
The movie is down. Okay, it ties into an earlier topic. The whole movie is offensive because it takes place on an Indian reservation in Arizona during Dia de los Muertos. It has David Boreanaz trying to summon and become Satan. He's screwing Tara Reid. Edward Furlong gets shot and shoved into a refrigerator. Do I need to go on, or are the stereotypes giving you the vibe of the movie already?
Wait, is it the same refrigerator Indiana Jones was in?
No, this is the one that I would expect to find. What superhero was it?
Dead
Green
Hooker?
Lanterns.
Yeah, Green Lantern's wife.
So yeah, I've seen again going back to the chat. I have seen the Chucky stuff, Evie. I've seen the trailer for the Chucky series that's supposed to be coming out. That I don't know. It depends. For me, it depends on how they explain Chucky still being around.
They already came out with that. The Chucky series is out. They already explained it in the last two movies. What I don't like is that they took a character who could have legitimately revitalized the series and been badass and immediately killed it. Like, it's still around, but they've crippled... Okay, I can't even say that. They have destroyed the potential of the character.
The only thing that I ever liked about the Chucky movies is the Bride of Chucky.
You talking the bit where they run over Britney Spears?
No, I'm talking about Jennifer Tilly.
Oh.
Because I like her, and I like Tiffany.
Okay, so the last two movies, Curse and Cult, were actually...
Yeah. I haven't seen them.
They were good. They introduced an unexpected twist in revealing that Charles had a daughter, but A, he's fucking Charles Lee Ray, so he ran out on her, and B, when he found out that the mother was pregnant, he stabbed her, so the baby was born paralyzed. And then the reason he's come back is because he realized that if he can get into her body, because it carries his blood, he can finally get out of the doll and get another body back.
Didn't he pass on the opportunity to do that also in another movie?
Yes. He decided that in Cult, in Seed of Chucky, they had the line where he would prefer to be a demonically possessed doll. But this is because she has his blood, he'd apparently be stronger or something. They try to give it a logic.
The entire Chucky series is kind of like, I mean, there's no consistency.
In Cult, they reveal that the Chucky that was in Curse, although it looked like, the Chucky that was in Curse was the original Chucky, but then he mails himself to Andy again after failing to get into his daughter. Andy greets him with a shotgun, and then in Cult, they reveal that he sawed Chucky's head off and has nailed it to a plank. But now there's 5 other Chuckies running around. Eddie reveals, oh, hey, so remember when I was learning voodoo? I've learned that I can now split my soul and remotely possess up to 50,000 dolls.
Oh, geez.
You know, they just need to say fuck it and have him go into the Hall of Presidents in Disney.
Well, I mean, it worked because it was like, that's an interesting setup because now we have to guess. Like, is Chucky actually dead? Did he jump bodies? Is this like a decoy? What's going on? And then the Chucky series reintroduced his daughter because they reintroduced Tiffany as well. But although she was already crippled, Tiffany has gotten angry because Chucky was actually successful in partially possessing her. So he's been off and on possessing her to talk to Tiffany. So at one point, when he's not possessing her and the daughter is asleep, she decides, okay, well, I don't care if she's confined to a wheelchair. I'm going to go ahead and take off all her limbs anyways so that Chucky can't do shit.
Wow, someone is... Damn, I did not see that, but bloody hell.
And I was like, come on, man. Like, you took
There's-
a character that could have legitimately been interesting, and you just decided to piss it away.
There's a video game, not one of the best ones. It's a homebrew someone did where it's a one-on-one fighter and everyone's playing a horror icon. From the scientist from Reanimator to Freddy to Jason to freaking Ash from Evil Dead. I just thought, why the hell is Chucky not in this?
Because the odd job rules from Goldeneye.
Oh, gods.
He would have such an advantage just because of his hitbox. And just be like, I'm going to play Chucky and take you out at the ankles.
I still want to see Ash, Jason, Freddy, and Chucky all square off against each other.
I just want to see a good Ash again.
I did not see the remake.
I watched one episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead, and I just put it down.
Oh, the live... Okay, no, I haven't seen that yet. My queue
Okay,
is
so-
long.
I don't know about you, but my issue with the Evil Dead series is, like, Evil Dead was great. Evil Dead 2 was awesome, even though it brought in more comedy. Then Army of Darkness, I hate it because it relies too much on the comedy and just completely sweeps all the horror under the rug. And then Ash vs. Evil Dead takes the comedy even more and makes Ash completely pathetic, and absolutely everything he did in all three movies is considered a fluke.
Okay, I've not seen this thing yet, but... Oh, boy. It sounds like they do to him and that what they did with the quote-unquote return of Magneto when it turned out he was someone else in the comics.
No, this is more of trying to think of a good example. No, there really isn't one. I mean, honestly, like, they just decided, hey, Ash should be a comedic character, and let's just make it to where he can save the world, but he just happens to be hilariously bad at it, and, you know, he's not half as badass as he thinks he is. And I was like, but Ashley J. Williams was, in fact, fucking badass. That was the whole point.
Cut off his own damn hand. Replace it with a chainsaw.
Yeah, I was like,
Didn't whine about it like all the other characters who've had their hands cut off.
yeah, I was like, okay, let's look at the first movie where, you know, he's absolutely alone in the woods. All of his friends are demonically possessed. His girlfriend's demonically possessed. His sister's demonically possessed. And, you know, he's been beaten, stabbed, bludgeoned, he's fallen downstairs. He's done all this shit. He's almost taken a shotgun to the face. And he just gets up and takes it. Like, he just goes on and makes it till morning. And even with the retcon of 2, where it was just him and his girlfriend, she still came back and tried to kill him as a deadite after he buried her. And what'd he do? He just killed her again.
So something I just thought about that I hope I really hope that they actually pay attention to this and address this in the Prey, in Hulu's Prey, is that's about the same time that two things that they need to make sure to do. One of the predators has to go back to his own people. And 2 is he has to address I think it was, oh god, what was his name? Raphael Andolini. Because in Predator 2, the predator that like addresses God, I can't even think of the actor.
Danny Glover?
Yes, Danny Glover's character. He hands him a flintlock pistol that was made around 1715. There was I think it actually was supposed to be, it was supposed to be it was supposed to be of somebody who he respected as a hunter. And apparently, the Prey movie that's coming out on Hulu is supposed to be set in 1719. So if they really want to connect this to the whole the proper Predator universe, they have to address that. And I hope they do. I hope they do.
Has any movie up until now actually acknowledged the existence of Predator 2?
So the funny thing about Predator 2 was never supposed to be Danny Glover. It was supposed to be a vehicle for another actor similar to Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was supposed to be his brother who was a cop. That's the original story behind the original Predator 2.
Doesn't surprise me.
Which would have made a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah.
The one thing that Predator 2 never made sense to me was like, okay, predators are hunters, and they like the hunt, they like the thrill of it, they like the chase and the challenge. Why the fuck are we going to New York?
And why are you going after just like a cop? I can see like the special forces team.
Black guy, and you're just like, that guy, that's the one I want to hunt.
If I was going to say anything was close to Predator 2...
Well, I mean, it was the idea. It was kind of okay. Two things. One, it was actually L.A. It was set in L.A.
Whatever. Why would you go to a city?
Because it was supposed to be a social commentary at the time of this is the modern day jungle, the urban jungle. That was that was the social commentary. So it was, look, our cities are so bad that they're practically jungles, so they're prime hunting ground.
Your allegory really sucks.
I mean, given LA at the time, they kind of had a bit of a point.
I didn't say they didn't have a point. I just said their allegory sucks. So what was the second part?
Well, no, that was the second part. The first part was it was L.A., not New York. I mean, and looking at L.A. at the time, yeah, it wasn't that far off.
Okay. So, now that we've mentioned LA and New York, you know what we have to talk about next.
Escape from New York.
Yep. Do you prefer Escape from New York or Escape from LA?
I prefer New York, but I like costuming and such from LA. And the only other thing
LA,
that
I like the villain from New York.
So the only thing I like more about LA, Bruce Campbell's in it. Even if it's just a cameo role, he's the plastic surgeon.
I like LA better because, it relies more on Snake's legend, but also because, well, like I said, I prefer New York's villain because the Duke was so much better than Chavez. I'm just going to say that because he fucking is. But also because, you get more looks into Snake's past, like with Hershey showing up.
Yeah, I think I like L.A. better than New York. Well, I mean, it's okay. Maybe controversial. It may be a controversial opinion here, but the overarching villain wasn't the Duke or Chavez. It was
No, it was
it was the
president.
it was the president. And I appreciate more the villain of a president who is like, oh no, all of these things are bad for you, so you can't smoke, you can't have premarital sex, you cannot eat red meat, you can't do any of these things in the United States.
If anybody tried to do that now, there would be an armed insurrection.
Oh yeah.
No, there wouldn't. No, there wouldn't. The vegans would vote for it in a heartbeat.
The vegans would, but they'd be outvoted by, I mean, shit, you'd have just about every single Republican and at least half the Democrats being like, oh no, I like my bacon, I like my steak, I like my hamburgers, go fuck off.
I mean, I'm a pescatarian, and I wouldn't even vote for that just because of how. I mean,
I think no matter what it is, if that president ever showed up and people started voting, I should be like, let's just turn to cannibalism.
starting with the president. Okay.
Starting with the people voting for him.
Yeah. Starting with him and then working its way down. It's like, yeah. But no, it's just, I mean, as far as the as far as what was kind of sort of predicted, I mean, I think LA was a better thing. Not to mention the fact that
was better in LA because they let him be more of a character.
Exactly. It was like you got to see that, the legend of Snake Plissken, who is this awesome duelist. He's like, all right, we're playing by Bangkok rules or Shanghai rules. It's like when the can
Bangkok
hits the
rules.
ground, you draw. He throws it up and shoots everybody while it's still in the air.
what
Showing
I'm
that
saying.
he's just like, no, he doesn't play by any rules.
Well,
There
it's
are
also
no
because
rules.
New York is like, oh my god, Snake Plissken, he's a former soldier, he was a gunfighter, blah, blah, blah. But Snake is a legend in New York. That's what they rely on, is the legend of Snake. But he doesn't do anything in New York.
Well, that
He gets shot at, and he grumbles, and he goes on. And then
Yeah.
in LA, they play on the same legend theme, but then you get to see why the legend's there. Like you said, you got the gunfight. You've got him using the hologram to trick people. You've got him joking and being an actual person. Like, holy shit,
also
this is the Snake I want.
Also, two major things outside of the story.
No, Evie, we're not.
That L.A. proved exactly how badass Kurt Russell is, because when they're like, hey, we're doing another Snake Plissken movie, do you want to reprise your role? He got fit enough that he could wear his original costume in the opening shots.
Oh yeah,
He
I was
worked
about
his
to say,
ass
the
off.
fact that he kept his costume.
So the funny thing about that is,
now here's
Go ahead,
hang
sorry.
on. Point 2, the basketball scene was all Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah,
He made
there was
he made the full court shot. When
there
he
was
wasn't
no
shooting,
stunt
he was
doubles, nothing
when
else.
he wasn't shooting, he was on a basketball court on the lot practicing just for that scene. That proves how much Kurt Russell was committed to the role.
I've always liked Kurt Russell as an actor. I don't like the things that he's in now. Like Hateful Eight was just, oh god.
I liked Hateful Eight, but
I
I
did.
generally like Tarantino films because they're berserk.
Hateful Eight took it to a level it didn't need to be taken. And it wasn't Tarantino's usual, hey, I'm going to push the envelope and make it funny. It was just stupid for the sake of being stupid.
See, the Hateful Eight, I love the Hateful Eight simply because, again, it shows Kurt Russell just being Kurt Russell. Because
Okay, but see, Kurt Russell was the best part of Hateful.
he actually smashed like a vastly expensive guitar because he didn't realize that they hadn't swapped it out for the fucking for a cheap prop yet. That guitar that he smashes in Hateful Eight, that is a horrendously expensive guitar.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he's just like, oh, whoops.
I mean, come on. You have him and Samuel Jackson in the same movie. And I'm like, it still didn't save the movie for me. I was like, okay, this is how you know that the movie sank.
Yeah.
Folks, I'm starting to fade. I will catch you all later.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
should probably
Tools, Russ.
work tomorrow.
All right. Night all.
Night, Russ. And Caden.
Night, night.
Tools. Yeah, so what I was going to say about the funny thing. So my favorite Kurt Russell movie, well, I do love both of the Escape movies. Best Kurt Russell movie there ever was and ever will be, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes.
That
He's
was
the-
a good Kurt Russell movie, and now I'm leaving.
Because he's the dumbass hero.
Yeah, he's the bumbling idiot that just like stumbles through and just
So he's Star-Lord before there was Star-Lord, in all honesty.
yeah. And then he gets to play Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah. So the thing that cracks me up most about is, so like the Escape movies, so they've asked Wyatt, because he looks so much like his dad.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to play Snake? He's like, oh God, no. Oh God, no. I don't want to deal with, because if I don't do it just like Dad, I'll be crucified.
Yeah.
The fans of that character will rip me apart, and he doesn't want to deal with it.
I mean, honestly, even Escape from L.A., John Carpenter was like, when they approached him saying, hey, we want to do a sequel, he's like, why? I did the movie once, you want me to do it again? Why? And that's why it was so much like the first one. He's like, I'm just gonna remake the same movie. The movie was never supposed to be this grand story. It was kind of this one-off thing.
I think the reason why I really do like LA. I think the reason why I really do like LA, besides it's Snake Plissken, besides it's Kurt Russell, is this is the first and only movie where you get to see a chaotic neutral hero. Snake just doesn't give a fuck. He's still a good guy.
I would agree with that up to a point. I think one of Kurt Russell's movies that would be very similar or at least kind of go along those same lines would be Soldier.
Well, so the thing with Soldier, I don't see him as chaotic neutral. Soldier was programmed to be the way he was. So it's very much he's a lawful neutral hero. He's not good, he's not bad, he just follows orders.
I mean,
Basically.
once he's like rejected, it's kind of like, it's one of those. It always felt to me that it wasn't so much he was very much chaotic neutral, because it was like, no, like with the kid and the snake, it's like, no, here, you deal with the snake. And he's like, and the kid, and the kid's parents are like, no, you can't let him do that. He's like, no, you got to let the kid do his own fucking thing. The kid's got to learn how to deal with his own fucking problems. You can't fucking baby him. I don't care what your issue with him is. You can't baby the kid. And then
Hayden has not ran away. Hayden is still commenting.
But yeah, it's again, it's one of those chaotic. I think it's more chaotic neutral because of the fact that it's like, no, he's, he doesn't, the lawful side, the programmed side is protect the innocent. That is what a soldier is supposed to do. But he doesn't protect the kid. He's pushing the kid to be a soldier himself and be like, no, you take care of the fucking problem. You take care of this snake. And it wasn't until a snake almost killed his parents and the kid shows up and kills the snake in their bedroom that they're like, oh shit, we were wrong. He was right. We really do need to teach our kids to actually take care of their own fucking problems, not baby them and take care of things, baby them and make sure that they, that they don't face any No, see, Caden, I would disagree with that's not trauma. That is chaotic neutral. That is, you deal with it or you die. What happens to you, I don't really care. You either solve the problem or you die. Period. Those are your two options. And it's shown that that chaotic attitude that you have to deal, everybody has to deal with their own problems or perish is kind of the point. But it's not lawful. You can't say that it's lawful because it's not lawful because there's no law that says, hey, you deal with your own shit. Otherwise, we wouldn't have police. We wouldn't have soldiers. Everybody would deal with their own shit or die. It's a law of nature, but it's not lawful as far as actual written laws. Because any type of a lawful character obeys the written laws, not natural laws. And that's my reason for saying no. He is very much a chaotic neutral character. It's like I said, it's he doesn't deal with actual laws. There's no law that says you let somebody deal with their own shit. If somebody steals from you, you call the police. They deal with it though because that is how the laws are set up. You don't get to just hunt the person down and put a bullet in their brain.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, Caden.
Yeah, it was a great movie. It was a really good movie.
I think it was a misuse of J. Scott Lee or Jason Scott Lee.
Yes.
'Cause he was amazing in Dragon.
Yes, he was. That
Bruce Lee story.
Oh yeah. I loved how so the demons that Bruce Lee was facing, I loved how they gave them manifest actual physical form. Yeah.
The giant samurai armor.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't just this.
Which is actually weird now that I think about it, because Bruce Lee was Chinese. Why was he being attacked by samurai? Because I'm pretty sure it was samurai armor. I mean, it's been 10 years since I've seen it, probably if not more, but I'd swear it was samurai type armor.
Well, that's one of those questionable places, and depends on how they were looking at things. Was it samurai armor, or was it more of the terracotta army type armor? Because the terracotta army is a Chinese historical.
Yeah, but
thing.
I want to say, I mean, and again, this is going from memory, and I've been drunk multiple times and hit on the head and shit like that. So, but I want to say that you had the face masks and stuff like the samurai armor, the helmets, like the Chinese used like a lamellar armor or something like that. I mean,
yeah, they used more
matter.
They used more, I think, lacquered. Yeah, they used basically paper and lacquer armor. But one of the interesting things that a lot of people don't realize is for ancient Chinese people, the Japanese were a force to be reckoned with. Japan invaded China, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So it's like, these were kind of like they were the enemy that were coming in to try and take over Chinese provinces and stuff. So it's like, and I can see it kind of working.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it like that, yeah. Either way, I'm not complaining. I just kind of dawned on me all of a sudden as I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I kind of had the same thought. It's like, yeah, it's like, well, but yeah, like then when you said something, it's like, well, Japan did go in and invade China in, quite a few times. I mean, it's just being like, hey, you guys got more food than we do. You got more land to grow food than we do. Give us some of that shit. But yeah, I agree. That was a fantastic movie, and I don't know if they could have found anybody else. I don't think they could have found anybody else to play Bruce Lee, especially at the time.
Yeah.
These days, I don't know. They might be able to.
Oh, I'm sure, but I mean, even the guys now that would be close to like fighting style and all that kind of shit, they're getting old. Like Jet Li.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Jackie Chan.
Jet Li, Jackie Chan. Yeah. A lot of those.
They're all super old now.
Yeah, they would be too old to reasonably play well, hell, even at the end of his life, Bruce Lee. Yeah. If they were going to do a Bruce Lee, if they were going to do another Bruce Lee life story, they would have to find probably an unknown person to play the role.
I would almost bet nowadays what they would do is they would take a bunch of the old Green Hornet stuff and digitally fake his head and just have somebody who had the build like Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
I think that's what they probably do nowadays.
Wouldn't surprise me. They've kind of been trying to get people softened up to that idea for a while, and I hate it.
Well,
I hate
that's
it.
like part of me thinks it's cool. I don't like it because Disney owns Harrison Ford. Disney owns Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Disney owns Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
So no matter what, Mark Hamill's, wife doesn't want them to do something because Mark Hamill dies or something like that. Oh, shit. They own his likeness.
Yeah,
they can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah,
and I don't like that.
The moment that they, the very moment that they did any Disney produced movie, it's like, hey, we're gonna take all of these 3D images, all these photos and 3D scans of your body so that we can recreate it whenever the fuck we want. That's a shitty practice.
So it doesn't bother me as much with Grand Moff Tarkin because he's been dead for quite some time. And they were just that's a little bit different.
Yeah, because they don't have an actual 3D body scan, so they don't. Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit different, but like Carrie Fisher,
Yeah, these days, I mean, there was actually a documentary done on it, and a random extra in one of Disney's movies is like, oh yeah, they had me stand in front of this camera and they took 3D scans of my body from all these different angles, some random extra, not a major part of the movie that they were making, but it's they still got a 3D scan of her body just in case they want to bring that character back and they don't want to pay the actual actress. It's that's the shitty part. It's they don't have to pay anybody for that. It's that's fucking wrong.
Disney are a bunch of creepy bastards.
Well, it's
in regards to a lot of this stuff. I mean, they're just creepy bastards. I can't think of a better phrase than creepy bastards.
And the thing is, it's not just Disney. It's there are a lot of, this is kind of the general attitude of production companies. It's I think it was 4 or 5 years ago that they were talking about doing a movie starring James Dean. Specifically because they could do a 3D model of James Dean with the proper face and everything, and just be like, put him in there because it's been so long since James Dean passed away that, well, you can't copyright his likeness, so it's up to anybody that has the technology to do it, type of thing.
That's creepy bastard shit also. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that's. I mean, I would think it was okay if, let's say, James Dean's grandson, whatever, we'll just say Disney, just for ease of explanation. So Disney's going to make a James Dean movie, and they've got a hold of the likeness. They paid his grandson or granddaughter or whatever, great grandson. No, doesn't matter. If they paid them a big fat chunk of money to use James Dean's likeness, that would be one thing. But it's not going to happen.
Yeah, pay that person's estate a certain amount of money so that their children, grandchildren, whatever, their ancestors, their descendants get something for that. That's cool, but it's like, yeah, a lot of them are like, no, you signed, these days it's like, no, you sign away your likeness for this character. So if they want to bring back Luke Skywalker whenever the fuck they want, Mark Hamill doesn't get a say. I mean, and that was the thing with the Mandalorian. They brought him in. They didn't have him really do anything for the de-aged Luke for the Mandalorian. They just had him there to show him what they were doing as an implied, see, he was there, it's okay, he's okay with it type of thing. Without him actually signing off and saying, yeah, I'm okay with it, because, well, he did that when The Force Awakens showed up. It was, hey, we have your likeness, we have your body scan, we know, we have enough lines that, I guess it wouldn't be in the Force Awakens that they got enough lines to recreate his voice, because he didn't say a goddamn word. But I get what you're saying, though. Yeah. The one actor I'd like to see Disney get rid of is Pedro Pascal. Fucking can't stand him, and he's been such a prima donna bitch. Yeah.
Carl Urban may be the new Din Djarin.
I mean,
I'm all for that.
I could see Disney kind of giving of working with Pedro Pascal as far as the whole helmet issue in The Mandalorian season 3. If he because in The Mandalorian season 3, he's supposed to go to Mandalore. He is supposed to properly bathe in the waters of Mandalore. And they could, I could see them saying, look, we're going to, okay, so, yeah, his specific sect of Mandalorians say you do not take your helmets off. And I could see him realizing that, no, this was not the overall, this is not what makes you a Mandalore. This is not what makes you Mandalorian, is never removing your helmet. That is a very small sect that was not part of the main Mandalorian culture.
So the reason why he got so mad about, because he was supposed to, so Din supposed to have a very minor role in the new Mandalorian series they're doing with Katie Stackhouse, whatever, where she's playing. Fuck.
Are you talking about the Ahsoka series?
No, there's going to be a separate Mandalorian series with Katie Stackhouse.
Oh, the Night Owls?
Yes, yeah. So he's going to be on there. He's not supposed to have removed his helmet. Well, he pitched a big bitch fit about it. And they said, okay, you're off the project.
I mean,
He wanted to take his helmet off. And you sign up for a character like that. So that would be like if I was an actor and I signed up to play Cobra Commander. I would either be in my mirror bubble helmet or the rag over my head. I would not expect to show my face. To me, as a fan of it, and I'm sure he may not necessarily be a fan of Star Wars, but even if I wasn't a fan, if I went in, did the casting and say, okay, but just so you know, you're going to be wearing a silver bubble over your head the entire time. Nobody's actually going to see your face. So to me, as an actor, I would take that as a personal challenge in regards to, so you can't see my face. That means I have to find other ways, physical ways to show emotion.
Yeah.
But he pitched a big fit. And like I said, I haven't seen anything in a while. Last I heard, because he pitched a big bitch fit about it, he went to Carl Urban, because Carl Urban he was one of the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And so he said, hell yeah, I'll do it. He's roughly the same height, roughly the same build. I said, yeah, I'll do it.
I mean, I could actually kind of see I actually could kind of see the, especially as far as doing something for the night owls. I really could see that. I really could see that. I can see his point. Because remember, the night owls were like the one group that offended him, that he was like, ooh, hey, wait a second. You're not, when the head night owl was like, oh yeah, I'm going to take, just took her helmet off. It's like, oh, I want to get rid of this helmet for a while. It's like, ooh, the character was like, the character of Den Djarin stepped back. It's like, you're not Mandalorian. You took off your helmet. And she's like, no. That's your special little sect. That's not all Mandalorians. That was a major point in that series, in The Mandalorian, was, wait, you mean there are other sects that are allowed to take off their helmet and they're not, like, pushed to the side and told they're not Mandalorian. So I could kind of see that. It's like everybody else gets to take their helmet off, but except for me. That's...
But if you sign on and that you know that that's the role you're going to be playing.
Well, that would be...
And also, the other funny thing is, 99% of the time when you see Din on set walking around, like, walking through a Mos Eisley or whatever the hell... the city is. That's not even Pedro Pascal. Yeah. That's John Wayne's great grandson.
Yeah.
Is what's called a cowboy actor. So he is trained to move like the old cow. He's been through training to walk like the old gunslingers. Yeah. So it's not even Pedro Pascal doing that. Yeah. He just does voiceover.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I could see it as far as, hey, this is a series that deals specifically with people with an entire Mandalorian clan that has no problem taking their helmets off. I could see that kind of being like, well, wait, why? So all of these actors and actresses get to show their face, but I don't. That's. I could see that being a problem. And like I said, I think the way that they're going to wind up dealing with all of that is Din Djarin winds up finding documents or historical records of some sort that says, oh no, you're by no means are you required to always have your helmet on. You can show your helmet. You can show your face. You can take your helmet off. That's, whether it's some sort of recording of of the current Mandalore of the time taking their helmet off or whatever, it's like, yeah, you are on the wrong side of this, you know, the armor is on the wrong side of this argument, and showing them proof of that. I mean, I personally love the meme of Din Djarin and Boba Fett sitting down saying, yeah, the armor said I'm no longer Mandalorian. And Boba Fett saying, wait a second, you have the Darksaber, right? You are, historically speaking, you are the ruler of the Mandalorian. You set the rules, not her. There's no way she can tell you you're not Mandalorian. You have the Darksaber. You are the leader. Them's the rules. You can change the laws.
The thing is with that, though, is he wasn't raised like that. So his is a particular religious sect of the Mandalorians. That's why they don't take their helmets off.
Yeah.
So it would be like... Whether it would be like if you were Jewish and you always had the little yarmulke thing.
Yeah.
And then somebody else who said to you, that's right. That's what you're supposed to do. And then another person comes and says, hey, I'm Jewish too. I don't wear that goofy thing. No, it would be a shock for one, because you're taught that you're supposed to do this.
Yeah. But
and Boba Fett is a real shitty example. I mean, as far as the only reason why Boba Fett took his helmet off all the time is because of, can't even think of the actor's name. Wanted to show his face off because he got his teeth done.
Yeah, but my point is, it would be kind of like to take your example as far as the yarmulke goes. But you are literally told that, but in the scripture it says, hey, if somebody possesses this key item, this one specific thing, they are the head of the religion. You are the head of this entire this entire group of people. Undisputably, you set the rules. It's okay. To take the same idea, Catholics don't allow prophylactics. If you engage in sex, period, it is for procreation and for procreation only. You cannot use anything to block procreation. But you become Pope. You are God's representative on earth. You make the rules. You say what isn't okay. And you say prophylactics are fine. Nobody can step up and say, no, hang on a moment. No, we have done this for thousands of years. It's like, I don't care. I am God's representative on earth. I make the rules. I say prophylactics are okay.
Yes, Gamer, you did come back at a weird time.
Yeah.
So the thing with that is, the difference is, and I'm not disagreeing with you, the difference is, with Mandalore, if somebody can come in, if Boba shows up and kicks Din's ass and takes the Darksaber, he's the new Mandalore.
Yeah.
He's got the MacGuffin.
And he gets to set the rules at that point. But until somebody beats Din Djarin and takes the Darksaber from him, Din Djarin is the undisputed ruler of the Mandalorians, and he sets the rules. And they tried, and in the Book of Boba Fett, one of the armor's followers tried to do that for that, partially because, hey, his family used to own the Darksaber, and then lost it. And if Din Djarin had lost, that person would possess the Darksaber and would get to make the rules. But he didn't. Din Djarin still has the Darksaber. He still makes the rules. He can literally say, no, taking off your helmet is not an issue. If you don't
So-
agree with me, you are no longer Mandalorian. You are no longer to be recognized as Mandalorian by anybody who respects our way of life, because I have the Darksaber. I am the one person who is allowed to sit on the throne. It's kind of the problem with the whole, hey, if you have the special MacGuffin, you rule the roost type of situation.
Well, it's the whole King Arthur thing. I have the sword, I rule England. But
Yeah.
so the other goofy thing is that they've talked about doing is Din is going to breach, or the Mandalorian is going to breach, because like I said, he could end up getting fired because he also acts like or at least from the last interviews I've saw, or not interviews, but stuff I've seen, it's like he wants to go do The Last of Us. He doesn't want to do Star Wars anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he said that's a recast. That's just fuck you.
So I forgot where I was going with this. I'm trying to remember where I was going with this.
So he wants to go off and do other things.
Yeah, he wants to do something else. So they may end up. Oh, Din is going to divide between what two factions? What two groups hate each other?
Oh God,
Old
that series
groups.
fucking everybody.
Old groups. And the hint is one of them is not the Sith.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's. Yeah.
Din is going to be force sensitive. He is going to bridge the gap between the Mandalorians and the Jedi.
Oh God, I hope they don't. I hope they don't do that. I really hope they don't do that.
Because the Darksaber is just a form of lightsaber.
Yeah. And it was originally created by a Mandalorian who was also a Jedi.
Yeah. So, yep, that's what.
I hope they don't do that for one simple reason. That's Grogu's place. Grogu is supposed to unite. I guarantee you that their original idea was Grogu is going to bridge those two together. He is supposed to bridge
I hope
those
they
two.
do that too. I hope they do.
I mean, one of the things that they showed in the if you look on Twitter, there's some people who like surreptitiously recorded the Mandalorian season 3 trailer. One of the things that they show is a Mandalorian helmet that is small enough that it fits between a person's nipples. It's a horrible analogy.
It's a baby-sized helmet.
Exactly.
Yes, it's a baby-sized helmet.
I think what they're saying is this is Grogu's helmet.
What color is it?
It is blue and just straight Beskar.
So okay, blue and silver, basically.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I think that's what they're saying is, yes, Grogu, I mean, the whole like build up as to, well, what will Grogu choose in the Book of Mandalorian was fucking stupid. It's like, okay, so here's this lightsaber from my master who you may or may not have ever met. You may or may not know anything. You may or may not, Luke never told Grogu that this person was the same species as you. He talked about how Yoda talked and stuff like that, and asked Grogu if he knew anybody who talked like that. But it's like that was the extent of it, and it's like, so it's like Grogu may or may not know who the hell Yoda was. It's like you can have his lightsaber, or you can have this lovely little Beskar chainmail that the person who has protected you for 2 seasons of a TV show, made specifically for you. Which are you going to choose? It's like, did you really think he was going to accept a lightsaber from somebody he doesn't really know, who has been very impatient with him, or something that his father figure made for him?
You're going to take the shiny light sword or something Daddy made for you?
Yeah.
Especially made for you.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the things that people really really kind of got annoyed with or kind of pointed out, it's like how Luke always picked, when they were walking along, Luke always, force moved Grogu ahead. It's like Din Djarin, whenever he let Grogu walk, it was Grogu walks at his own pace. They always arrived at the same place at the same time, meaning that Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, slowed his pace down to match Grogu's, rather than being like, you're walking too slow, here, let me help you. Here, let me help you. Here, let me help you. It's like, no, he allowed Grogu more independence and more self-reliance than Luke did. It's like, again, it's one of those things where it's like, obviously he was the better parent.
Oh, and for one, so the thing is with the Mandalorians, once you're accepted, whether you're a foundling or not, you're family. Grogu is family to Din, no matter what. He is family. Jedi don't have families. The Jedi don't have emotional, connections, or they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Because emotions can cause one to fall to the dark side. Luke was supposed to be the better of that, so where, he was supposed to be able to be the temperance to that nonsense. But the way they portrayed him in season 3, he was just kind of a dick.
Yeah. I mean, he was trying to adhere to the old ways, the no emotional attachments ways.
Well, and even Yoda, like from Empire Strikes Back, didn't treat Luke like just some dumbass kid that showed up. He treated him like family.
Yeah.
He was stern with him. He whacked him on the head with a stick, those kinds of things. But he didn't treat him like, he treated him like foundling. It was somebody who needed his help. He knew that, and Ben had came to him and said, you've got to help this kid. He's a good kid. And rather than Yoda cramming all the Jedi bullshit down on him, he taught him the important parts of being a Jedi.
Yeah. And I think Yoda did that for a specific reason. I've actually done a video on this. I think Yoda recognized what the prophecy was, because the prophecy wasn't that Anakin was going to get rid of the Sith. It was, no, he was going to bring balance to the Force. That means if there's 2 Sith, there's only 2 Jedi. And if the Jedi are so far away from, are to the point where you're not allowed to act on any kind of emotion, well, the balance to that is somebody who lets their emotions completely rule them. But if you move the Jedi side closer to the middle, then to bring proper balance, you have somebody who's a little bit more emotional, but isn't like, oh, hey, I have to focus on rage and hatred and all of my passions. I can deal more, they deal with, okay, well, we acknowledge all of these passions, but we try and focus a little bit more on one side of our passions than the other. It's like, your diametric opposite aren't going to be nearly as bad.
So one of the things I think, as far as the prequels, is the reason why Anakin went bad is because, other than Obi-Wan, and to a small extent Obi-Wan, the only one that treated him like he gave a shit at all about this poor little slave kid died. That was Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Nobody else gave a fuck about him.
Yeah.
They didn't want to deal with him. They wanted to get rid of him. And then when he showed that I can do this fucking amazing shit, like, yeah, whatever.
Well, I think the biggest issue with that was that they expected him to just be able to just shrug off all of his emotional baggage. You can't do that. Nobody's gonna fucking do that. It's like, no, he went through hell. Some of the most formative years of his life were hell for him. His
Yes.
mother was still, as far as he knew, his mother was still a slave. And it's like, that's an issue. That's a big fucking problem. And it's like,
Yeah.
but the Jedi were like, no, you have to put all of that aside.
It's like, no, that's my mom. You know,
It's like, this is for the first, like, what, 8, 9 years of my life. This is all I knew was being downtrodden and having and all of these bad emotions. Now you're telling me just to forget about them? I can't do that. Nobody can do that.
Nope.
And yeah, that was kind of the big problem with the Jedi is it exposed the idea that it really to me it really exposed the fact that ignoring and just and repressing your emotions doesn't solve anything.
No. I mean, so.
At the same time, the Sith are all about the negative emotions. They are about passion, not love. So it's kind of, they go the direct opposite, but they do go in a bad way. They don't look at love.
I mean, think of, like, so if they would have just, if after they blew up the droid control ship, if they would have just given Qui-Gon like 5 days vacation, they could have went to Naboo, snatched Shimmy up, brought her back. That way she could have been a constant positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Because his mom is free and he gets to see his mom and he gets to live in this great place and everything is cool. He's not murdering an entire tribe of Tuskens later. He's not running off with this girl that is, twice his age when they met.
Yeah.
And knocking her up and, becoming this evil leader. He's not falling for Palpatine's bullshit.
Yeah, and let's just face facts here. The whole, Anakin and Padme thing was fucking creepy. It was kind of creepy. It's like, you met him when he was like 8 or 9, and he's been holding a candle for you for almost half his life. It's like, that was a little creepy. That was a little creepy. And I think that is one thing that they did address in the follow-up trilogy, is that there wasn't as much of a difference between Kylo Ren and Rey. There wasn't as much of a diametric opposite of, you focus solely on your emotions, I push all emotions away. And that allowed them to kind of meet more in the middle and be like, look, both sides are kind of fucked up. It's like, why don't we just say fuck both of these sides, fuck both of these groups, and just do our own thing?
Because Kylo needs to die because he killed his father.
Well, that's...
I say that as a dad. He needs to die.
Oh, that's one of those things where I don't... Well, see, Kylo... Well...
I know Harrison Ford wanted out of the
Yeah.
He wanted out in Empire Strikes Back. So, but I'm just saying,
Yeah. It's one of
dad.
those things. It's one of those things where it's like... the way it was put in the actual movie, it kind of felt like the character of Han Solo knew what was coming. He's like, look, I know what you need to do. I know what you're trying to do. I understand this. It's okay. Just fucking do it. That was the feeling I got from that performance. Was, look, I know what you're needing to do. I know what you feel you need to do. If that's what you feel you need to do in order to be your own person, do it.
whole feeling I got when I watched the movie, and that was the only one of the new trilogy movies I watched, was, oh my God, they remade Star Wars and made it shitty. Because it's the exact. We've got a planet weapon. We're going, but see, in defense of that particular movie, the EU or Legends had a bunch of shit like that.
Yeah.
Some race would show up, like the Corellians had a star killer laser platform. Everybody, it's like, I don't know why Vader and the Empire didn't just go steal one from somebody else. There was like 5 dozen of the goddamn things.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's yeah.
Everyone had a super weapon. Corellians had a super weapon. The Wookiees had a giant banana launcher. I mean, it was just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't think there are bananas on Kashyyyk, but it was funny to me.
I would imagine that there probably are. But yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was one of those things where it's like, look, you know, shit's gonna be, you know, what do you need in order to break away from this cyclical thing? If you need to kill me in order to do that, you know what? It was more for me. It felt like it was more of a, you know, the whole Han Solo death scene was, hey, look, I want you to be your own person. What do you need to be your own person?
You know, for me, if you're going to kill off one of the greatest characters in the entire series,
yeah,
have him crash the Falcon into something and save everybody. That's a hero's death to me.
Yeah.
Not, oh, you're my whiny Sith emo son. Stab me in the guts so you can be your own man.
Well, it was one of the interesting things that came up in the third one is that Han Solo does show up as it's never really explained if it's as a Force ghost or if it's Kylo Ren's basically his mind being like, look, this is what I was trying to say, you dumb shit, type of thing. His realization as to what his father was saying, it's like, look, you're your own person. You don't have to follow what anybody says. Do what you think is right. And that kind of, I think that kind of goes into what was Han Solo's sacrifice was, look, if I've got to die in order for my kid to be their own person and to break away from a negative influence, I'm done. Fuck it. You know, it's one of those things where, I mean, as a parent, if your sacrifice is going to make your child's life significantly better and help your child break away from negative, bad influences, you're going to do it.
But did it help him break away? Did he get away from the negative, bad influences?
In the end, yes, he did. And it was Han Solo showing up being like, look, yeah, you whatever happened, I'm still proud of you. You're still my son. You can make your own choices. And that was kind of what really prompted Kylo Ren to eventually, you know, fight back against the Emperor, the resurrected Emperor, or continue what the fuck ever they want to say. But yeah, it was that interaction was kind of what helped Kylo Ren go beyond what, you know, break away from the Emperor's influence and be like, look, no, I'm on the wrong side of things. I need to make a change.
I guess to me it was just how and not just talking about like the Kylo Ren thing. It was the fact that how so much of the shit was handled. Like, Leia and Han got divorced. No, these are the
I
two
don't know.
people who, while who are basically polar opposites, are
Yeah. I don't know if
amazing together.
I don't know.
Now,
I don't know if
Okay.
they even got married in the
okay, but
yeah,
still, this is the perfect Star Wars power couple. You've got the smart ass, street smart, knows his way around a gun. You've got the princess who is politically smart, politically powerful, and wealthy.
yeah.
And so you've got the ultimate Star Wars power couple. And she's also force sensitive.
Yeah.
How you fuck that up?
Well,
Again, they could have been. They could have done so much amazing shit. It's
yeah.
not, to me, that's that's the princess, and the roguish hero
And
finally got the princess.
yeah, and to a real extent, you have that's kind of on Harrison Ford, the actor. He didn't want to do it anymore. He wanted completely out. He didn't want. He didn't. I mean, he was pushing for Han Solo to die in Return of the Jedi. It was like, look, I want my character to die.
Actually, it was Empire Strikes Back. He wanted out then.
Well, that was one of those questionable things, but he was seriously pushing for him to die in the Battle of Endor. He wanted to get shot down in the Battle of Endor. That was what he was really, really pushing for, because he's like, I know you got more shit in your I know you've got more shit planned, George. I don't want to be a part of it. So it's kind of like, with the, okay, I'll come back for Force Awakens, but I want to die. That kind of put a really hamstrung the whole, power couple type of thing.
They still could have done it for the first part of the movie. He still could have died. Because, at least from what I remember, and I've only watched it like once, Leia almost seethes when she sees him. She's almost ready to spit. At least that's the way I remember it.
It was kind of one of those. From what I remember, it was kind of one of those. He wasn't sure what to expect. She wasn't sure what to expect, and they just kind of like hugged it out, type of thing. Like, yeah, our kid's fucked. Type of hugs. It was very just
Estranged?
yes. Yeah. It was too estranged. It was basically kind of felt like two estranged lovers that still care for one another, but the whole goings on just made it really weird for them, type of thing.
You said our kid's fucked. Who are you talking about?
No, our kid is fucked.
Oh, okay. That's why I was confused.
No.
I don't remember like any other supposed children besides Kylo.
No. Our kid is fucked.
Okay.
Kylo Ren is fucked. We have given birth to the Antichrist type of. But I still dig you. I still like what we had together before all of that shit went down. Type of hug, and it was weird. It was weird.
The whole movie for me was problematic, and that's I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Anything that Kathleen Kennedy had a hand in, to me, is problematic, and that's all I'm going to just say. I'll just drop it right there.
I mean, I'll say this much: the change in directors, the going from J.J. Abrams to whoever it was that did
Ryan something.
Yeah. Whoever it was, the change of directors was a major problem, because it's like the whole Finn character basically just like got pushed aside for the rest for the rest of the trilogy. It was like, oh yeah, we can't just say you died because you were a major character in the first one, but we don't know
Yeah,
what.
well-
I don't want to make you a major character. I want it to be just these two.
Disney really shit all over that actor too.
Oh yeah.
All over that
Oh
poor guy.
yeah. John
Yes,
Boyega
when they-
got boned.
Yeah. John Boyega. Yeah, when they did, so the U.S. posters, Finn is very prominent.
Yeah.
Posters for China, Finn is almost just like a chocolate stain on the poster.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like I'm not trying to be. That it's just they've almost blipped him completely out.
Yeah, they fucked that they fucked that actor over big time, because it's like, I think it was in I don't remember. I think it was in the second one. It was either the second or the third. They actually had him trying to legitimately just run away. He was trying to defect and just run away from the rebellion. I think it was the second one, and the character of Rose, basically,
Rose Tico.
yeah, she like,
Yeah, that actress got shit all over too.
yeah, she fucking stunned him and had him like arrested, and it's like, wait, this was supposed to be like, no, he was supposed to be another Force, he was supposed to be a third Force sensitive, and you just kind of like, well, no, we're ignoring that. We're ignoring any possibility that he had anything to do with the Force. We're ignoring that he was an instrumental character in the first movie. We're, yeah, it was those two characters in particular were fucking messes. Because it was like the second director was like, tried to like push them aside, but like, no, they're not that important. They don't matter. And then J.J. Abrams is like taking back over again. He's like, well, shit, you have made them so unimportant, so not much of an issue. What the fuck am I supposed to do with them now?
And then look at Captain Phantasma.
Yeah.
So they launched that character before the movie comes out. There are toys of this silver stormtrooper. And, they make her out to be this, she was like Boba Fett, this big mysterious character. And she gets blasted? And that's it? That's the end of her?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, there were, I mean, well, that and, Snoke. Snoke in the second one was like, he was barely really featured, and then Kylo Ren kills him. And it's like, oh, so it's like, wait, shouldn't that have been the third movie that the big bad guy dies? And wait, what? And I don't think the whole, the Emperor was resurrected thing was supposed to be a major plot point. I really don't. I don't think it was supposed to be a major plot point in the actual original J.J. Abrams trilogy. But then once they killed Snoke, it's like, well, fuck, what do we do now? Okay, we're gonna do this.
Well, so in Legends, one of the things that is a big staple of Legends is Palpatine is the Undying Man, because he has cloning facilities.
Yeah.
So as soon as you whack one body, due to his power in the dark side, his evil assholedness gets zipped over to another body. And it takes it, a year or two, whatever, to reacclimate, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to describe it.
Yeah.
And then poof, Palpatine's back, being an evil bastard again.
Yeah. Well, that was, like I said, until the third movie in the follow-up trilogy, there was no indication that there was cloning involved, or that there was a problem with, the Force-sensitive clones were problematic and stuff like this. So
Being batshit insane.
yeah, batshit insane or just like malformed or whatever. You know, they're genetically speaking, the Force fucked up with any clones. So the end result was, well, there was a clone of Palpatine that was not Force sensitive, and they just let it go, apparently. Who the fuck knows why. And that was Rey's father.
And they named him Abby Normal.
I wish. Oh my God, that would have been brilliant. That would have been brilliant. But no, it was just that was, you know, I mean, and that was the thing that got me. It's like in the original movie, it was like, oh, Rey's parents are unknown. In the follow-up movie, it's like, you know, Kylo Ren's taunting Rey that her parents were nobodies. And then it's like, oh, no, your parents weren't really nobodies. Your father was a clone of Palpatine who just didn't have access to the Force, wasn't Force sensitive, but you are, so...
That makes no sense.
The idea was that they had to kill Palpatine. She had to kill Palpatine so that Palpatine could take over her. And it, like I said, it's a fucking mess. It was a mess of a story. It was trying to tie off all these loose ends that J.J. Abrams never meant to happen. That this other director was like, nope, we're going in this direction. And yeah, J.J. Abrams was handed this shit pile that he's like, this person legitimately went through and destroyed everything that I was trying to set up for the second movie. And now you want me to fix their fuck-ups.
There's not enough lens flares in Hollywood to fix all this bullshit.
Oh, no. Yeah. It was just, like I said, yeah, it was a mess. It was horrible. It was... That's why I appreciate the MCU a lot more, because they're like, no. James Gunn gets his Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. Boom. Kevin Feige is in charge of the overall story, but he, you know, the individual directors get to make their movies, but he's like, look, this is the overall plan, so you have, you know, no, you can't bring Loki back in, you know, after Endgame because we've got plans for him over here, so do something else. It's like, I don't think they had an overall,
Game plan?
Yeah, they didn't have an overall game plan. They didn't have anybody that was in charge of the overall story for the follow-up trilogy. They were just like, nope, do whatever you want. You go. It's your baby. And it's like, you can't do that.
No. I think that's why, and I realize again, because I'm a big fan of EU, a lot of the EU stuff was some goofy bullshit. But a lot of the EU stuff was brilliant and beautiful because it didn't involve Han or Leia or any of the, you know, the main characters.
Yeah.
So there are great stories about Dengar. There are great stories about Bosk, IG-88, Forlom, Zuckuss. All of those characters, and those are all minor characters, other than...
Well, I mean,
you know,
minor characters and features of MC Chris songs.
Well, yeah. Yes.
I mean, I had to throw that in.
I like MC Chris, actually, so yes.
I do too. Yeah. I mean, and yeah, his Star Wars stuff is very nice.
But I mean, you've got so many characters and such a rich tapestry. So, like, one of my favorite characters is, I want to say the character's name is Kenix Kill. Kenix Kill is, he's a former Imperial Guardsman. Royal Guardsmen. And so there's another Royal Guardsman, the Red Armored Guardsman. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
His name is Kir Kanos. So Kir Kanos actually sabotages one of the Palpatine clones so he can become the Emperor. Basically.
Okay.
So Kenix essentially breaks away. He's not friends with the rebellion, and he doesn't like the Empire. He'll work with whoever gets him close enough to be able to kill Kir Kanos.
Okay.
And they made figures of them, like the little 3.75 figures, and there were comics. But there was some of the best EU stuff, simply because all it was it took place in the Star Wars universe using concepts that people understood. You know, if you were familiar with Star Wars, you understood what, this guy's an Imperial Guardsman, because, it's a familiar costume. But there's never been any kind of, like, in the movie, the Royal Guardsmen were in Jedi for maybe 10 minutes. You see him standing alongside Palpatine. So you've got these guys in these cool red armor, cool red helmets, and cloaks kind of thing, but nobody knows anything about them. Well, somebody went and took and wrote, like, talked about their training and everything else that they had to go through to become some of, Palpatine's Royal Guard. That's the stuff, the EU stuff that I like most. Now, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy a good Luke and Leia story, or Leia, the original crew. I enjoy the good ones of those, like the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah.
Those are still awesome. Thrawn is a brilliant villain. Timothy Zahn created. He's an enjoyable character because he's every bit as scary as Vader. He's not at all he's not heavy-handed like Vader.
Yeah, he's a lot more calm and logical rather than...
He's like a Vulcan Vader,
yes.
Basically.
Yeah. And that is one of the reasons why I think the Disney Plus Star Wars series are doing so well. It's because they don't rely on the Skywalker family. They're taking on the other characters. They're taking on or creating new characters. Actually, Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to be in Ahsoka. He is the main villain in the Ahsoka series. And I would not be at all surprised if they do bring up the whole cloning idea with the reason why they were wanting so much of Grogu's blood.
Yeah, they're wanting to clone Grogu.
Yeah, they're wanting to either clone Grogu or clone somebody and find and extract the midichlorians from Grogu's blood in order to make a Force-sensitive clone. Whoever that clone happens to be, they're going to, in the cloning process, they're going to impart so many midichlorians into that clone's genetic makeup that they are going to wind up being Force sensitive.
One of the things I wish that they would do, because one of the things that's overlooked is, and they did kind of touch on this, I want to say at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. So you saw the Dark Troopers.
Yes. Oh,
so
yes.
There are so many specialized versions of stormtroopers that they need to showcase more of them.
Yeah.
Not just the biker scouts, not the old clones, not the New Order or whatever they're called, with the duck helmets.
Yeah.
Not them. Need to showcase like the Aqua Troopers. There's actually stormtroopers have powered armor. They're the 0G stormtroopers. So
Yeah.
what happens is they go into like a capital ship. They'll ram basically like a troop ship into the side of a capital ship, and then dozens upon dozens of space-worthy, power-armored stormtroopers swarm over the hull and rip everything apart and cut holes in the hull, and and wreck everything to take down rebel ships. They did show in Rogue One, they showed some of the Dark Troopers.
Some of the early versions of the Dark
yeah.
Troopers. Yeah, because what they showed in season 2 of The Mandalorian were like the improved Dark Troopers.
Yeah. Well,
I don't remember what version they were, but they were they were they
the
had
ones
been,
that were the ones that were in Rogue Squadron or whatever the fuck it was called. Those were guys in suits. The ones in season 2 of Mandalore, those were robots.
Yeah, they were the autonomous, no
Yes.
people needed Dark Troopers.
Droids.
Yes.
They were
yeah.
droids. Which is something that's really kind of weird that I mean, they touched on it like the prequel trilogy. Why the Empire didn't rely more on droids?
Well, I think there were a few reasons for that. I mean, the first and foremost is the optics. They were fighting the formation of the Empire was to fight against a droid army.
Yeah.
If you bring in and say, okay, we defeated the droid army, now our army's gonna be full of droids.
Well,
That's
but at
gonna
that
be
time-
that's gonna be a major. You really can't mesh that with the public.
Okay. So, but at that time, does Palpatine give a fuck?
Yes, he does.
I disagree. Because by then, he's got control of everything. He is God, and
No, he
he can do
wasn't.
whatever the hell he wants.
He had anybody below him. The Grand Moffs didn't have power until A New Hope. It was right at the beginning of A New Hope when they disbanded the Galactic Senate and therefore gave the Grand Moffs power over their own individual sectors. That was one of the first lines from Grand Moff Tarkin. When he walked in, he said the Imperial Senate has been disbanded. The Grand Moffs have jurisdiction over their own individual places. So it wasn't until then that the Emperor actually had his own direct people in charge of all of the individual sectors of the Galactic Empire.
Okay. All right. So it's 12:30. I have to work tomorrow.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
agree.
drop off.
Yeah, it's been 3.5. It's been almost 3.5 hours. So yeah, I agree. I was actually planning on ending this about half an hour ago, but hell, we were just like we were rolling.
Yeah.
That happens with us.
Occasionally, yes.
Oh, only on days ending with Y where we actually talk.
Well, I was out, like I said, so on the 13th, I got sick. I don't know if it was COVID. I know I woke up in the middle of the night. So on the 12th, I drank. When I woke up in the middle of the night. So it was the early morning on the 13th. I had chills. I felt like I was going to vomit. And it wasn't a hangover, trust me.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything like that. I had, like I said, I felt like hell. And then I tested myself. I happened to have a test. I was like, oh, I think I got COVID. So I must have got it from somebody around, going to the store,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, something like that.
Well.
Got sick, missed 10 days of work. So that's why I wasn't on last Friday, because I just felt like shit. And I haven't, because of how work is handling this mess, I've not been feeling very social because I'm generally pretty angry, to put it lightly.
Understandable.
Because
Absolutely.
normally my checks are around $1,200, and
Oh,
so my
God,
check
yeah.
was $75, $76 after taxes.
Yeah. And that's just, yeah, that's a big old kick to the teeth. That's, yeah. No, I understand. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nobody has to be here. Nobody, it's, you know, I'm never going to be like, oh, hey, you haven't been here for 1 or 2 episodes. What's going, no, I don't care. As long as I have somebody to talk to, we're good. If I don't have somebody to talk to, I will spout a bunch of bullshit. I've gotten really good at it.
You have a good night, man.
All right,
It's a
you
good
too.
show.
All right.
Girls.
All right. And with that, we are going to call it for tonight. As always, thank you guys very much for being here. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new here, don't forget to press the subscribe button. If you want to be kept up to date of when we go live and stuff like that, make sure to ring the bell. But also check out the social media links in the description down below. The Facebook page, the Twitter account, where I always make sure to post when we go live or when we upload videos or anything like that. Also, there is a permanent invite for the Discord server down below where we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff like we talked about tonight and much, much more. All of that so that you can stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions. Cheerio!